Hi, I'm Cash and welcome to Cash Talks Football. This is a compilation of all of the goals scored by Manchester United that I've analysed this season. If there's any ones missing, it's because I've been copyright struck on those. Other than that, enjoy. Oh, and wait for the compilation of all the goals that they've conceded. And also I'm going to be doing all the other teams as well throughout the Premier League, so keep an eye out. Thanks a lot. Right, let's go on to this first goal here. What we're going to look at right now is their shape. Right now, that's not very good, but it's not bad because you've only got the one runner into that gap there and you've got some potential people to go with him. Okay, not bad. We'll accept it, but it's not good. And it's a slow jog as well. You can tell the type of pace here. It's not like it's a fast break counter-attack, so we're not really worried about that place because their acceleration there, we can probably catch them. It's not like they've got a head start on us. Okay, we can deal with that. Let's watch what happens. Bump, bump, bump. Ball goes here. Right, now here's the point, and this is going to be the coaching point for the session, or the review, if you like, and this is what you need to remember. This is late on in the game, and if you want to know about why people's legs are tired and how spaces appear, this is how a space has appeared, because everyone's legs are tired, and this ball is not pressured anywhere near quick enough. Let's have a little look. As it's gone, dump, 1, 2, boom, too long. Do you see that? All the time in the world to dink a little pass over to that space that we already popped out earlier. And the space, as you well know, it was back here to start. But as the play moved, the space moved, and now it's there, which is being exploited. And he's dinked the little ball in, and off we go. Let's see what happens next. He's going to lob the ball up, but here's your main problem. If we start trying to play, something fancy, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, we can actually think that the Man United back four. Oh wait, they're not the back four. They're attacking. We should have more Wolves players than we do United players in the box. Well, near these ones anyway, and you don't. So all of a sudden, United has got a couple of people on the back post here, and if we actually look at it properly in isolation, where the ball's dropping, it's 3v1. 3v1 on the back post. That's where the ball comes in, bosh, and in we go. There's all sorts of horrible marking going on here. We've got defenders just getting lost for the plot. People not and this is generally what happens as as the game winds on and you get more and more tired. You stop holding your shape, doing the basics. That's the real difference between the top teams and the lower down teams. When I mean lower down, the mid sort of table teams. The top teams, if they're not holding their shape and doing their job, they will get yanked off that football field because there's someone else there that can do that job. These lower teams, not necessarily, can't really do it. They don't really have the resources to pull those people in. And there we go. Terrible goal, really, to give away. But now we're going to talk about this VAR decision. Let's see, lack of VAR decision. Let's see if we can find a clip. Right, here we go. Here comes the ball, smashed into the box, bump. Here comes our would-be protagonist, the goalkeeper's coming out. Again, with a similar situation when they've got an overload of 3v2 on the back post. Ball comes up and he just nails the guy. Absolutely nails him. Now here's the issue. Does he touch the ball? No. Is he close to touching the ball? No. Does he take out the player? Yes. It's a penalty. There is no question. There is no ifs, buts or ands. That is 100% a penalty. Now here's the interesting thing. You go, oh yeah, but football's not fixed. Want to bet? Do you remember a couple of seasons ago when United had a penalty? The game was over. I think it was against Brighton, actually. And everyone was in the dressing room and they were called back on the field for Man United to have a penalty to score the goal to go forward. Do you remember that? Yeah. Football's dodgy as hell. If you don't think people are spending billions and billions and billions and billions on this game and it's not corrupt, you're joking yourself. You are so naive. I want to give you a nice little cuddle, pack of crayons and go play with the children in the corner. We know FIFA's corrupt. It doesn't get corrupt from the top down. It gets corrupt from the bottom up. So we know the FA is. We know UEFA is. We know they all are. And that's a classic example right there. First game of the season for Man United at home. Stonewall penalty. Absolutely stonewall penalty. Now here's the interesting thing. If you watched it live, there wasn't a VAR check. There wasn't a thing. On the actual highlights, they make out that there was. Wrong again, boys. That's the difference. Watch the game and then watch the highlights. Watch how they try to change the narrative. They did that when United had that penalty and everyone came back on the field. After the referee blew the full-time whistle. Yeah, never has that ever happened before, or will it again when you're cheating people out of points. That could cost Wolves going down, because I think Wolves will go down. I mean, I don't think they're good enough. They've lost too many players, their coach, but they actually look decent in that game. And they did deserve something out of it. But again, the Referees Association cheated them out of it. The FA cheated them out of it. VAR cheated them out of it. And if you don't think the game is corrupt, oh my God, you're so cute and adorable. I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football. Got it. Wee man here picks the ball up right in the centre here. There's nothing on, which is kind of good because everybody's marked. There is one pass he could probably play if he had the skill to put it into this area here for the run a bit, kick a bit, Rashford to knock it into the goal, but he can't do it. But he can do this. Let's watch. Bosch takes his touch. They leave him because he's young. They're not expecting him to do this. Bang! Straight into the net box. Well done, young man. Take your bows. And we'll see you next time on Good Goal or Bad Defending. So as we move the ball this forward, we're going to stop it about here. Let's go back. Let's move it forward properly here. Right, as we move this forward here, Bosch, we can see, look at... So... This is what we call an inviting pass. So you're inviting the player to get involved. Here's the player. This guy wants him to get involved. So he's played the ball in front of him to step forward, right? That's what we call an inviting pass. So he's inviting him to come and get involved and take this space here, okay? That's what he's asking him to do. If he's just playing it to his feet back there, that means he's going to stay back there and he's going to look to pass it out. He's like, hey, come on, mate. Come and play the game of football. And so he's invited him out and he's taking it. Now, the other problem when you're doing an inviting pass like that is you're putting it almost in no man's land a little bit as well. If the other players are pressuring, that's where you end up getting those, when people say, oh, you got a 50-50 or a hospital ball, because he's played the ball into that inviting area for the other guy to step on, but the defending team is now run on and pressured the ball. He hasn't bothered to do that. Look, so this guy's now just walked forward. He's got all the time in the world. And this is what ends up happening. Buff has a little look, looks what's going around, still got all the time in the world. There's no pressure on him at all. And he picks out that pass. Now, quite honestly, this is really hard because the defenders, in my opinion, has been awful and should have got much, much closer. But see, when you say stuff like that, it takes away from the quality of the pass and the quality of the finish you're about to watch. But frankly, he should do better. He should be closer to be able to put this, to put Ratface, Bruno Fernandes, off this strike. But Ratface gets on the end of it as it comes down, Bosch, and it's a quality finish. Easy 1-0, and that's the end of the game for Man United. They end up winning. But there's a couple of problems I've got. Man United, it's 1-0 against Burnley away. They should be doing better. But they needed something amazing like that pass and that goal to, to settle it. But I'm going to show you another sort of clip of it so you can see the quality of the actual finish. And this is what I want to show you because the defender's watching the ball and he can get closer and he chooses not to. Do you see that little stutter step there? Watch that. Watch the defender and watch him do his stutter step. There, you see it? That's a moment of hesitation because he's not free-flowing running. I've seen it so many times. That like 0.5 a second, you go, oh, well, it's not much. It is because that's what stops him from being able to get to the ball. That's what really matters there. But that's about it. There's not much really more to discuss in this video. I'll see you next time, guys. So they get rid of Marcus Rashford, who's completely useless as a footballer, and they put on Garnacho. One good thing with him is he's going to do something that Rashford never thought of doing, passing to his teammates. So right now he's going to try to get to the byline, which is kind of what you want to do in this situation. Look at how much space these two defenders are given to you, right? You just want to get there and see what happens. If you get there and they tackle you, great. Maybe you get a corner, but you just want to try to exploit this space as much as you can. You've got two spaces if you're this player. You've got basically that area there. Does that make sense? So you can always come back towards the corner flag if you can't beat them for pace. So if you're a slow player and you can't get into this space here, you can always try to drift them wide to make your extra yard to get the ball across. That makes sense. Right, let's crack this on. Bosch, of course it makes sense. He gives up the run. Shouldn't do that. Now he tries to go to the other side of him. What he does, though, is he telegraphs his play. As soon as he does that, this guy now knows exactly where he's going to try to go. Going to turn inside, Bosch, and beat both of them. The ball doesn't go out of play like it did the other week for United, and they get the cross over. Bad cross, absolutely terrible. Now, at this point, he's stretching. Can he get to it? Can the defender kick it? No, he can't. He's rubbish. Here's the point. As soon as that ball bounces, that's when the guy needs to clear it. That's the Brentford mistake right there. That goalkeeper gets it. As soon as it bounces for that defender, he smashes it away. He chooses not to. He chooses to, I don't know. Look, bang, there it goes. That's where it needs to go. But we've got to give Scott McTominay some credit. That's why we're going to rewind it a bit after that terrible clearance from that Muppet. Doof, outside of the foot. Did we see that? Let's do that again. Doof, outside of the foot and snaps it into the bottom corner. Quality finish for McTominay. Even though he's rubbish at the football, when he does something quality, that's a bit of quality. Well done, wee man. Well done. Take your plaudits, take your bows. Here's the problem, though. This was in the 94th minute out of 96. was the first good opportunity United have created to score. And that will paper over all of the, the cracks in the United team, being absolutely terrible. And that's the problem. They were better off losing and having a crisis and actually having to fix something. Now they're just going to go, we're going to be okay. They're not. They're going to get done this season. They'll lose 5 or 6-0 to someone this season because of this. I'm going to bookmark this right now because I'm going to say it. They're going to think they're going to get out of jail. They're going to play someone like a West Ham away or a Brighton away, and they're going to get absolutely tonked because this team does not work hard enough. Let's get on to the last goal. Here we go. One of those situations that I quite often talk about where your defence has sort of got a weird line and they're not defending right. Honestly, 95th minute, drop to your 18-yard box, take that space away, try to get 2 solid banks in front of them, get these players back. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're just a muppet. If you want to do something, stand over here. And the reason why you stand here is because you force this player then to think about coming back to marking you. Standing there, you're not going to stop him. He's a world-class footballer. He's going to deliver that where he wants to. He's not bothered. Right, so as we play this forward... Oh, yeah, we don't want to see Ten Hag because you're bad at the football. Right, as we go forward, Bosh, here's the play I want to show you. I used to have a centre-back who used to scream at us from positions. Used to say 1 in front and 1 behind. They've got 1 in front and 1 behind, challenging Harry Maguire for this header. But having 1 in front and 1 behind means you actually have to be there. And they don't. I'm going to show you that in a minute from the other angle. But I want to give McTominay his second applaudits for the day when he gets this header. Bosh knocks it into the danger, into the mixer. Off we go. No one tracks McTominay. And he gets himself a second and he gets a goal. Good job. But it comes down from this one little point here I'm going to show you. Here it is. 1 in front, 1 behind, trying to mark. Neither of them are actually marking Harry Maguire. The guy behind isn't close enough. There's a massive gap there, and Maguire bullies the guy in the front. If this guy does his job properly and challenges, Maguire might not have such a perfect little header that dinks over into the danger area, and he does. But this guy doesn't do his job properly, and we're going to let it go because we want to see McTominay's finish because we may have another one in the history of football. Here he comes. Braveheart, that's what he's singing. And he gets himself a goal. There we go. I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football. Like so often happens in football when, one team's been dominating. Sheffield United were dominating quite a lot in this game against United, which has never been happening, honestly. Come on, it's United. And they should have gone 1-0 up from that little mistake there, but they didn't. But then you know what happens in football? United have got some quality in their sides. Fernandes is fantastic. He can put a pass on. He can't score a goal. And apparently so can Scott McTominay. Yes, look at this. So the ball goes here. You look at Sheffield United's shape. Now, also, if you ever listen to what I'm saying, this is a very big point of contention for me, the D. This is where lots of stuff happens. Always be there defending. If you're attacking, always stand in it. It's amazing how many goals get scored and you can defend from just standing in this little zone here. Why? Because it's in the middle of the bloody field. And if you're in the middle of the bloody field, chances are the ball's going to come to you. Just stand there. Well, here we go. We get a pass coming to us anyway here. It's completely unmarked. And he plays a little... Honest, it's a terrible pass. It's a terrible pass. He tries to dink it to him. Tries to put it on the old Buddy Ollie on the volley. Messes it right up. But Scott McTominay hits him on the chest. And then he does... This is a terrible shot if you don't know. But it's a great shot. Watch. Bosh. He hits it along the ground and it bobbles. But it's perfect because there's too many people in front of the keeper. And it goes straight into the bottom corner of the net box. There we go. Let's have a little look at that from another angle. Here we are. Watch the fact of how low this goes and the bobble on the ball as it goes across the ground. Donk, donk, donk. There we go. Quality little strike in the end. Because if he hits it too hard, if it takes a ricochet, it probably bounces away from the goal. It's just crap enough that it's good enough, if that makes sense. And that's a quality finish from a player who's so bad. And I don't know why he's in a Man United shirt, but he is, and he's scoring goals, so you got to love him. But let's get on to the next goal. So Sheffield United are in a good defensive shape. But if we look, where's our Magic D, boys and girls? Where's our Magic D? There's no defensive player close enough here. Another reason why you do this is because of this. Here comes a square ball across. It's nice and simple. Watch this. Bosh comes across. And if you're close enough, you're going to be in the D. Down here is too deep. And the reason why is because those extra 2 yards for you to get here would have been 2 yards to come out of here and go over to here. And this guy takes a touch. And this is where you would have been on him. And he scores a worldie into the top net box. Well done, young man. Well done. But here's the other interesting thing. United hit the post twice. Amrabat hit the bar. Fernando hit the bar. But it's just not good enough. Like, this is Sheffield United, bottom of the league. Yeah, it's away from home. But it should have been much more clinical. Sheffield United could have got 1 or 2 as well, to be honest. So it's a very even game, and it shouldn't have been. United should have battered them. But that's just the way it is right now. I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football. Right now, we're going to talk about this free kick before we get onto the goal. Because normally I just do the goals, but I want to talk about the VAR on this free kick. Because we're seeing the same thing happen in the Premier League, where they're trying to defend the 18-yard box, and they keep giving everybody all this space to run into. And any time a team's got a competent ball player who can put the ball into this space here, problems happen. I think there's at least 6 or 7 goals so far this season scored because people are doing this. They're up so far up here. Well, you can't play a high line because you don't have pressure on the ball. The reason some teams play a high line like this is because their goalkeeper is so competent, he's playing as a sweeper and he gets rid of the problem, right? If your goalkeeper can't do that, you shouldn't be doing this, because what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for failure. Let's move this on and show you what I mean. Boom, in we go straight away. And all this guy's got to do now is knock the ball back across the danger zone. And he does. Tap. There we go. Simple as. Every single time, because they're all up on the 18-yard box, giving everyone the space to attack, and it's just bad defending. Everyone is running towards their goal, right? And guess where they want to defend? They want to defend the goal, not kick the ball in the goal, but yet that's where they're all running towards, the goal. It's terrible. All over terrible. Boff goes in. A ball from the corner, comes out, gets defended, gets knocked into this guy here. Now, if anyone watches my channel, you'll know how much I prattle on about the D. If you're defending the D or attacking the D, it's always a good place to be standing in the D so you can actually get rid of the ball or score with the old football. Right, but as it comes in here, no one else... He is kind of, but he's not good enough, if that makes sense. He's past the line and no return. So he's past that halfway line, Dorsch bit there. He's on this side. Actually, that line's a bit bad. I want him about there. Let's draw that a bit better. About there. And he's on this side. He's not on this side. Someone else needs to be there. United can have a real easy time of recycling the ball. If you look at United's, where they are, look, they're actually in a decent shape. Cutler in the middle to receive the ball. If the ball comes out, we can recycle it and keep it going again. It's actually not bad. We'll give 7 out of 10 for that. Receives the ball, knocks it across. Look at these guys. We want it. No, actually, he's pointing to the right direction. Give it out to this guy. He's bad at the football. What does he do? Takes a touch and he smashes it, which is, to be fair, he's outside the scoring funnel. I don't think he's got the ability to put in a good cross. I really don't. But he's outside the scoring funnel. That's the scoring funnel. This is where you score from. This is where you don't. He's shot from out there. Doesn't understand that. That's basic football. Doesn't understand that. But I'd rather him do that because he can't put in a cross. The ball bounces out and Lindelof says, yes, I'm a hero. Yes, and he scores a goal. Yeah. Overall, it's just because their shape is quite right and they keep the ball recycling. I think if they tried to cross the ball in, they wouldn't have scored a goal because the cross would have been terrible. They would have headed it clear and it would have gone off. A bad shot created a little ricochet and a deflection and they knocked the ball in. Not the best goal, but it was a goal. United need to be doing better if they're going to actually do anything this season. But thanks for staying and I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football. But right now I'm going to comment on this great goal that was scored, but also I want to show you how terrible this defensive play is right here. So you've got the Man United player out here, you've got a runner, you've got the guy supposed to be covering him, and maybe this guy can, and neither of them do anything. It's the first 30 seconds of the game, off the ball go, look, bump, goes with him, he tries to double up on this player, not even having any inkling that he's going to pass the ball. Well, of course he's going to pass the ball into the space for this guy, and this guy just sort of stops, ambles along a bit, and just completely lets this guy have a free ball here. So there's 2 Man United players against 1 Everton player here, and he can't really tackle him because the space is in behind, doesn't know how to really deal with that, and they just get a free cross because these guys here don't read the situation, don't get across, don't run over here to put pressure on him, stand here like a lemon thinking they're going to ninja block the cross somehow. I don't know what they're thinking, but all of a sudden you can see, look, I'm going to ninja block it. Here we are, a great cross to the back post, which is clearly overloaded here. It looks like he's overhit it. And these 2 defenders here just kind of letting the ball go. No one is trying to make a challenge on this ball in the first 30 seconds of the game. It's absolutely terrible defending, but it doesn't take away from the quality of this finish. He goes, whappa! Quality finish, young man, well done. And of course, this guy can't catch it because his hands are too small. He's only small. Jordan Pickford should never be in goal. Should never be playing as a professional goalkeeper, but apparently he is somehow. Now, let's just get on to this controversy. You can watch this goal back again and again. Quite honestly, it's quite nice and pretty to watch. But the actual build-up play is so simple and easy here. United get away because Everton are just so poor defensively there. 2 United players, 1 Everton player, and they get across the ball. It's just absolutely terrible defending. And the fact that they let this wee man here do that without trying to challenge him, stick it. Because all you got to do is put your head in. If you put your head in, VAR will say, well, it's a high foot and it's not a goal. Sorry. But he can't do that because he didn't put his head in, didn't try to challenge it. But let's talk about VAR and this penalty that is not a penalty in any way, shape or form. And let me explain to you why. Let's pull that. So let's be clear, starting way, it's Ashley Young that gives the penalty away. And I cannot stand Ashley Young. He has everything wrong with proper, with footballers. He's a diver. He's a whinger. He dives all the time. He kicks people. Like, he is just, I would never have him near my football team. I think if there's an opportunity for me to slag off Ashley Young, I am there. So is this a penalty? No, I've got to back up Ashley Young. It's not. And here's why. Right, so Ashley Young isn't looking to try to make contact with his player. And even if he does, right, okay, is it the player running into Ashley Young or Ashley Young kicking the player? That's the things you have to ask. Well, here, the player is running into Ashley Young. Ashley Young, I don't know if you know, he's not a magician. He can't teleport himself out the way of the player that's running into him. So what the player does is run into him, kick his foot, and then fall over. Is Ashley Young's foot out there? Yeah. It is. And we're going to show you that right now. But if this is a penalty, there's 100 million penalties that need to be given every day. And the referee is watching it, and in real time, when it's happening real time, he calls it a dive, which it was a dive. The referee gets it right. VAR overturned the referee's decision because they think they know better than this man standing there watching it from this distance away on their monitors because they slow it down. And when I slow it down, you're going to go, oh yeah, that's a penalty. Yeah, because you're slowing it down and it's not in real time. Now let's watch it in real time. Here we go. Bump, 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 bump. He goes to pull back. You can see that he's not trying to kick the guy. He's pulled himself back. Can we see that in slow-mo to back it up? Yes, we can. The player's running full pelt into Ashley Young. Ashley Young pulls his foot back. The player hits him. Both feet are off the ground and he dives. And the ref gives him a yellow card quite rightly. But VAR overturn it. So this is what they show. Remember, the player in red is in motion running towards the player in blue. The player in blue is stood still. He's not moving. So what does the player in blue do next? He pulls his foot out the way. As he pulls his foot out the way, the player's falling over. So the player in red runs into the player in blue, kicks him, falls over, and they give a penalty for it. It's never a penalty. I go back to why VAR. If anyone's watching this without your Man United bias goggles on, because it's hard, right? You got to take those goggles off and just say, look at what you see. You see a player runs into another player and falls over. It's definitely a dive. Okay, it's not a penalty. If the player in blue legs extends with any force, because think about it, the player in blue, if you hit his leg when you're running full pelts, you'll kick his leg out the way. Because he's not really, trying to actually push his foot out to touch you. His foot's dangling. You're just going to push it out the way and carry on running. He doesn't. He dives. Let's have another little look and I'll show you again. Here we go. You can see it. Ashley Young, the Muppet, is checked. He sticks out his foot, dangles it out. As he dangles it out, he pulls it back a bit. Oh, look, and they stop it. Because if they don't, it'll automatically show you that it wasn't a penalty. So the next point we've got is this VAR, which I'm going to start talking about more and more. I'm going to do a whole video breakdown on it. They can't bring the Super League in because everyone loves the Premier League and it's fantastic. But if you get all the fans pissed off at the Premier League because of VAR and bad refereeing decisions, what you do is you start chipping away at that. And it doesn't happen in the next 3 years, it doesn't happen in the next 4 years, but it happens over time, where fans will be recipient to people saying, hey, we've got the best referees in the world in the Super League, we won't have these problems in the Super League. You know all those problems you've got in VAR and all this financial fair play decisions and all these things with people losing points and all this, we won't have that in the Super League. We're going to have a robust system, so none of that will happen. We'll have all these rules and everything ironed out. Come over to play on our new thing. And all the fans will go, yep. Because what they'll do over year in, year out, week in, week out, is erode the trust of the Premier League and the fans with things like this. Because I'm telling you right now, you ask, 100 people, 50 people will say that's not a penalty, 50 people will say it is, and then you'll find out which team they support, and you'll probably find out that in real time, everyone will call it a dive. But when you slow it down and you look at it like that, you go, it's definitely a penalty. It's definitely a penalty. The player in red has kicked the foot of the blue player and fallen over. What do you mean the player in red's kicked the foot of the blue player and fallen over? Well, yeah, but it's a penalty because his foot's there. What? You're talking rubbish. That's never a foul anywhere on the field. It's not even a penalty. But it doesn't matter because now everyone is doing what they're doing, arguing and yelling about VAR, about controversial decision. Would everyone be fine if the ref just gave him a yellow card for diving? Yeah, 100%. Right? No one would even think twice about it. The problem is when you look back at it in real time, it's never a penalty. In VAR, it always looks a penalty. It always looks bad. And now everyone just goes, VAR's ruining the game. And they'll keep going on. That discussion will keep happening until they get their way of getting rid of the Premier League and going on to the Super League. Bearing in mind, I'm talking about 5-6 years down the road. Smart people with billions and billions of quid come up with these concepts and these ideas. Because I'll tell you right now, if I was in these shoes, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be wanting my club to be in the Super League if I was a billionaire, cutthroat businessman, and I'd be doing it by using VAR to undermine the fans' interests. And I'd be having the fans, slowly but surely, hating the Premier League. And they are. So let's just go on to the last goal and show you that one. Well, before we do that, we'll show you a little kick box when he kicks it in the net box. Here he comes. Smack it in the net box. Good job. There we go. We can see here, though, Everton were attacking. Actually, Everton had most of the run of the play, to be fair, until that penalty happened. I could see it being a 1-1 draw. And it was interesting. I was listening to the United stand, and I was listening to Goldbridge chat shit again. I love you, Goldbridge. Normally his takes are right, but when he's talking about United, quite often he gets his United goggles on and he chats shit. And what I mean by chatting shit about United is the fact that they are papering over the cracks. And this is what he doesn't quite understand. Football always wins. Good football wins. Bad football will always put you in trouble. So if you're playing bad football, which United are at the minute, it's going to come back and get you. If you're playing good football and you're losing, you can deal with it because you know sooner or later, what? Football wins. And every coach that I've ever worked with, we always know, yeah, but football wins. So they might beat you, and you're looking at it, and he goes, yeah, but you're going to beat me because you've got a better team, you're playing the right way, and it's just a matter of time until it all clicks. However, this play here from United is a bit of football wins, and it's pretty good. Except for look at the gaps here at Everton. It's huge. But we move this ball in here, bump, in it comes into Ratface. Ratface sees the run out of the corner of his eye, and look at that gap. Look how big that is. Dunk. And he puts a through ball through, I don't know, the eye of a needle right there, because that's a really tight pass. And he pulls it off. And then we have a quality finish against a rubbish goalkeeper. He comes out with his arms flailing. Look at the starting position here with his arms flailing, right? He's better off if he stays on his feet here and keeps himself big. It's one of the rules of goalkeeping. When you come out, make yourself big and stay on your damn feet. Because if you jump down to the floor, you can just put it over you. Guess what this idiot does? And look what goes towards the ball. Is it his hands? Body, chest, or feet? Feet. He tries to 2-foot the guy. Watch what he tries to do. Watch what this goalkeeper tries to do as this ball comes in, right? Here he comes. Make yourself big. Stand in front of the player. Make him go round you. Do something. No, he tries to 2-foot him. He tries to go. He gets off his feet. And then this is why I hate Jordan Pickford. He's just made an awful mistake. Okay. By the way, even if he comes out big and the guy scores, fine. Whatever. But when you 2-foot someone in the goal area like that, he puts it over you. You look an idiot. But this is why I don't like him. Watch what his reaction is right here. Looks at his players. Oh, you can't see it. He looks at his players and he starts blaming everybody else. Because I was watching this live. And he just turns around and starts blaming everybody else. No, you know what? Sometimes goals go in. But you don't start yelling at your teammates, especially when you're 3-0 down. You don't need that. Everybody knows it's a goal. You don't need you running your mouth and putting everybody down. Yeah, don't like the kiddie. But thanks. If you're still here, don't forget to hit subscribe. And I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football. Now, this chance has been created because Chelsea are trying to pass it out the back here, and they lose it from an absolutely terrible pass that comes inside, and they just give it straight to Amrabat. He doesn't win it; he gets given it, which is fair because he's played all right. He won his fair share, but not on this occasion. So you pick it up here, and you go, oh, so Amrabat's driving forward with the ball. No, Chelsea just were, and they were just so bad today. Like Chelsea were awful. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know how much. There were so many mislaid passes, but they still had opportunities to win this game, and I'll come on to that because Jackson is useless as a footballer. He had a one-on-one with Onana that he should have scored, or I don't know, he's just awful, and a clear header on the back post where you know what? Watch it. Anyone could have knocked it in. I might see if it's in the highlights and add it in. But let's move on and show you the first pass that's coming. Remember, I'm still in YouTube jail, so I'm having problems doing my clips and stuff like I'd normally do and roll it forward. Right, here's going to be the first pass. But you can suddenly see these guys, right? And I've got to give you credit due to United. Without Rashford on the field, they're all running. Now, there's something about that I want to talk to you a little bit about. And it's called star player syndrome. And I don't care what level you're talking, where you are, sometimes you're just better off not having your star player on the team. I'm saying, well, that don't make sense, yeah. But this is what happens. And this is the psyche of the star player syndrome. You see the star player and your average player, right? And star player doesn't do anything. Star player gets the ball. Star player loses the ball for the 5th time in the game. You get the ball once, and you've been running your arse off. You've been trying your best. and you lose the ball once and your manager goes mental at you, absolutely mental at you, and then star player syndrome gets the ball again, whoever that may be, they lose the ball and it doesn't say anything. And you're just like, well, I'm not trying anymore. Why am I giving my all? And every time I make a mistake, I get yelled at. And every time that guy makes a mistake, nothing happens. He doesn't get pulled off the field. He doesn't get pulled up. And that's what's happened with Rashford. He's not on the field. Everyone else is playing better because they're not carrying a passenger. And is it just him? No, probably not. But he seems to be the one that's getting the brunt of it. And he seems to be the main focus. So there's something going on. But all of a sudden, right, we're looking at this ball coming. There's my little rant over. We're passing the ball out wide here, and you can see how much time and space, by the way, that's a bad first touch, how much time and space they've got to pick out players, little runners coming in, and obviously Chelsea were just on the counter-attack, and they've lost the ball. But these two aren't quick enough or good enough to get back in and try to cover any shape or any real desire. No one's getting any real desire to go out and close this ball down here. They're all just kind of, well, we'll just defend it again deep. Off he goes, try to get in there, but here's the point. When he goes out to close the ball, he doesn't really know what he's doing, so he's just running out. So this pass is really easy, right? Dumph. It's telegraphed so easy. He can't even read that because he's just running for running's sake. When you just run for running's sake, you can't understand where the ball's going or how to block the shot or do any of that because you're just running for running's sake. And he's created this opportunity because he's done that. This pass has been easier for him to play because he's made that move telegraphed for him. He's pushed him to do it. So the next thing that ends up happening is you're looking here at every one of the other Chelsea players have kind of switched off. Now, obviously, you could tell United were attacking because good old Harry Maguire is still up here from whatever was going on. And they don't pick him up. And you don't necessarily, pick him up, but you've got a player here who's so focused on the ball, and he's got another player there. One of you can focus on the ball. One of you can just get a little tighter. That's what I'm asking, just a little tighter. Because, oh, look, that's what happens. Oh, who knew that was going to happen? A simple pass because you weren't really watching or paying attention. And this is what I think is kind of funny. Straight away from now, there's no one close enough to remember this is Harry Maguire in the 18-yard box. You've got two United players completely unmarked. Well, actually, technically three. But think about that for a second. Just stop and have a little look. People have just got so focused on running and doing the ball. There's no really cohesion of shape. Nothing. You've got two Man United players completely free and unmarked, and two people basically holding hands, going out for dinner later on together. And as we go along, Bosh, this guy panics. I don't know how he's found himself over here. If you find yourself in this situation, just try to walk off, because what will happen is they'll score and you'll be the problem. You'll be the point that they call offsides. So if you ever find yourself that, don't try to get involved back in the play. Do one of these weird things. Just go over here, or just go around here. Because if they score and it's called because of you, yeah, you're an idiot. So just try to get yourself out of play. It just seems that you've just drifted. You've drifted too far offsides. Try to get yourself back onside. Try to get yourself out of bounds so you don't disrupt what your mates are doing. If you ever find yourself in that situation as a striker. Now, remember, still two United players in the box. As it drops, he can have two touches and knock it into the corner of the net box and get himself a goal. Yeah, pretty poor all round from Chelsea. But also, Man United get a goal, and it's Scott McTominay. He's been taking a lot of criticism. Well, I didn't know this. I found out he actually used to play as a striker, and then when he started playing for United in the first team, they put him in midfield, and he was also always rubbish in midfield. So maybe the United coaches didn't do him a proper job by putting him in midfield, and they should have left him up front all along. We'll never know. Let's get on to the next goal. Okay, so here we are, we're running back, and we've got Raheem Sterling chasing back for the ball, so that's probably, chances are, he's the one that lost it. So as we're running into this situation, you can see they're trying to figure out where to go, right? United have got an overload on this side, and they're trying to get the ball over to this side. Here's one other issue, though. United did run hard all this game, but you've got three Chelsea players here, right? And they're about, about 6-7 yards off there. So maybe that was a little bit further back. Maybe he's 10 yards. Maybe he's 7 yards there. But they need to get back and mark this guy here. The lack of effort that's put in by these guys here to actually get back inside, because they've got time, because a lot's going to happen before the goal gets scored. Let's have a little look. Let's move it forward a little bit. Bosh, do we see all of a sudden they drift out the picture and no one is getting anywhere near him? Now this pass goes out. Okay, and it goes back. So immediately what you'll see, if you're one of these three players, remember, they're all looking, oh no, they're not, they're looking at the ball because they're like playing like teenagers who've never been coached properly in their whole life. There's a completely unmarked player there. And none of them have actually looked to spot, okay, there's a guy unmarked, maybe my centre-back is going to be in trouble because he's going to end up marking him, and who's going to mark him because this guy's 2v1. No, way too difficult. Way too difficult. So as it goes out wide here, Brentford is still there. Those guys are no longer in the picture. There's been plenty of time for them to get back in. We've got 3 Chelsea players here marking 1. This guy's still pretty much unmarked. This guy's not getting close enough at all, which is terrible. And the next thing we know, the cross is going to come in. Takes a little bit of a touch. Oh, look, he's finally got back on. He's finally got here. Now, here's the problem when you're taking that long to get there because you're casually running. You're not set to do anything. You're not goal side. You can't make the challenge. You need to get there early. You make the effort at the start of the play, so at the end of it, you get the benefit and the reward, right? If you try to make up the put all your energy in when the ball's getting crossed, or you're trying to win the challenge, you're way too late. You do all the preparation in the first place, so your body shape is right, and you're all correctly in the correct position to win the ball for your team. If you don't do that to start with, the prepping work, you're always going to lose out. So next thing we know, this ball comes in. Bosch, he goes down, and there's 3 players on the back post. Oh, look, like we had the whole time, and none of these guys are close enough, and they get a goal. Now, here's the other interesting thing. I don't think this guy gets fouled, but they don't really give a VAR review. They don't really do anything or really sort of address it, which is maybe because of Amazon Prime, which, by the way, I'm completely and utterly okay with. I'd rather that we didn't have any VAR and we just let referees referee games, get things right and get things wrong, and we move on. But I think and the reason why I want to look at it isn't for the VAR, it's because I think the guy's gone down too easily. I think he's tried to con the ref, and if he actually just played the game of football, I think he would have won the header in the first place. And and there isn't a good angle for me to go back, look at it, review that to see if did he go down easy? What was going on there? And unfortunately, we couldn't get it, but we did get the goal, and in it goes, and we get But thanks, and I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football. So, the way Aston Villa play football against most teams works, but against United, it isn't one of those things that you really want to do because United don't really have a strong back line or a strong midfield. But what they do have is pacey players up front. So when they nick the ball, they can transition on you really fast. And they've got little Rashford's back playing and a couple other little players. And you don't really want to play through their little line up front because they can catch you. They really can. Their little striker, who scored his first goal in the Premier League today, I think is Rasmus Højlund. He'll work hard and run around. And the other ones don't work hard and run around until they win the ball. When they win it, they'll go forward. And they brought Christian Eriksen in today. I don't know where he's been. But I don't know if he's been injured or was out of favour. You never know with United. But when this ball gets played in the middle here, you can see what a difficult pass it is to be in the first place. But also, the reason why you don't really want to play United doing this is because they play basic football. What I mean by that is they mark players van v van. Yes, van v van. They have the little vans and drive around. No, man v man, because their system is too complicated for them to understand. So it's very easy for them just to man mark. And that's what they're doing, is stopping you transition through the midfield. Now, their wide players don't do it, because even if they were supposed to, they're not going to do it anyway, because why bother play football, right? So as soon as they win this ball here, Bosch, this is where United come alive. They don't really come alive trying to win the ball back, but however, in the transition, when they win the ball, this is when their forwards really do come alive. Their front players want to go and score goals. They don't necessarily pass the ball very well, but they do have pace. Now, if you've ever heard me talk about Marcus Rashford, he can do 2 things. He can run a bit and he can kick a bit. What do we mean by that? Well, he's got pace, he can run a bit, and he can kick a bit, he can score goals. But that's all. He can't do link-up play, he can't track back, he can't mark, he can't do all the things a footballer needs to be able to do. But if you're trying to pass the ball out of the back and you're giving him this much space, he is going to cause you problems at least 3 or 4 times a game. And he did a couple of times in this Villa game. And this is where he gets to run and make a problem for Aston Villa. Look, right now, Villa have got less players than United players going towards their own 18-yard box. And that's a problem, because the United players are going to outpace them as well. So as we move this forward, we can see that Rashford is off on his own. This is his territory. This is exactly what he wants to do. Run at the goalkeeper, 1v1, and see what he can do. Absolutely perfect. This is his wheelhouse. This is where he gets his goals, and he doesn't. he does something amazing. He finds out that there's other people on his team and he crosses the ball to them. Now, the only reason Villa are getting caught out here just is because of the sheer pace. There's nothing they can really do. They've made that silly mistake passing it through the midfield and now they're in real trouble. All of a sudden, dosh, first guy misses it, second guy doesn't, and they get themselves a goal and get back into the game. Now we can see United are on the front foot. They're trying to put... actually, most of the second half, because I watched a bit of this game, they played... puts our old Aston Villa back. Now, Villa, of course, they're going for a good run. They might be able to get into the... Well, I think they'll be shooing for the top 4, maybe, but they've got a chance at the title. Now, they're not going to because they showed in this game that they don't really have the energy. That's what really got them today. It wasn't that they couldn't play football. You could see that their players just didn't really have the energy left in them. And this is where United want you. Look at all the players. That every single one is running towards the goal. That is exactly where United want to be because they're not very good at breaking teams down. They want to get in behind. Now, if you see people like this, you'll see it quite a lot in the Premier League. They'll put their foot on it and stop. And all these defenders come back and they get in a perfect line. I'm not a fan of that. If you've got defenders like this running at goals, I love a good pass that goes in behind and give your strikers something to go and run onto. If you see this if you're playing football, get that ball and try to whip it in behind and give your strikers something great to go and tap into the net box. Here we go. Bosch hits it first time, doesn't even think about it, doesn't look, and it's a terrible ball. But this is the advantage. You play a terrible ball and all of a sudden, before you know it, it hits somebody, something goes wrong, no one really knows what happens, because they're all running towards their own goal. For them to defend it or do anything, it's really difficult. The only thing he can really do is give it out for a corner. Well, great, you'll take a corner. So it's very hard when people put those balls in and the other team and yourself are all facing a goal. Now it drops to this little wee man's feet and he puts it into the net box. And there we go. Now, before you know it, it's 2-2. United are back into the game because of a simple ball in behind, not trying to overplay it, not trying to pass through the lines, just a ball in behind. It's very rare you see that in the Premier League at the moment. Just a ball in behind, just picking up the scraps. Let's get on to the next goal. If you're new to the channel, you won't hear me yelling about this a million times, but if you've been here a couple of times, you would have. This is where you need a player to be right about now. Okay, you're going to ask, why does a player need to be there, Cash? Simple. Your goalkeeper is covering the front post. You need some help covering the back post. Remember, he's not there marking the post. He's there standing there as his starting position. When the cross comes in, he can react to anything that he needs to. If he needs to stay there, he can, or if he can come forward. But his starting position is important, and he needs somebody there. Why? Because if somebody was, they wouldn't have scored this goal. As this goal comes in, though, I want you to watch how quick the strike is from the moment the Aston Villa player hits it to it's in the back of the net. Watch. As it comes across, boom, here we go. See, Villa aren't doing a bad job marking, but they've got enough bodies there, but these two aren't close enough. Can you see that? These ones are fine. When this comes in, though, it's just hit his thigh. And this is a striker. Right here, this is someone who's working on instinct. I know he hasn't scored in the Premier League, but you can tell he's got a finish on him because right from there, without any hesitation, Bosch straight into the far corner. And that's where if you had your player on your post because your goalkeeper was too far forward, which is fine, he can be on that front post covering it, but if he's on the front post, you need someone covering on the back post for him. You can't have all your Aston Villa players forward and your goalkeeper forward, leaving everything exposed. Regardless of whether or not these guys didn't score, if the corner was good enough, any one of those could have scored it. But this wee man got his finish, got his Premier League goal, and he got off the score sheet. Other than that, guys, I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football. You're good at football, you coach football, you play football, you'll know exactly what I'm about to say. Did they score a goal on you, or did you score a goal on yourself for stupidity? This is a goal scored on yourself by complete and utter stupidity. They've got the ball right here as the goalkeeper, looking to play the ball out, and you know what happens? He hits a pass, not quite good enough, doesn't realise the pace of this guy, I think it's Garnacho here, comes running in and intercepts the pass. He shouldn't be playing this ball, but he's playing hipster football instead of just getting rid of the ball because that's what he should do. All of a sudden, won the ball. He still has work to do. That's fair. Still got work to do. But United are not creating this goal. Nott'n and Forrest are giving them this goal. If this happens on my under-13s, I'm yelling at everybody. I'm disappointed because we've given them a goal, because we haven't done the right things and understood how to play football. This is the Premier League, and they are still doing these things from bad coaching. And that goalkeeper doesn't know the difference to get rid of the ball when he's in trouble or pass it into a midfielder. By the way, both of these players, your class is marked. Just get rid of it. What are you doing? And what I mean get rid of it, it's not necessarily lose the ball. He has lots of other options. He can come out right or left. There's a massive space over here. He could have just played the ball in front of this guy right here, in front of this guy here to run onto and get rid of the ball or do something different. But he doesn't. He plays in like just a terrible pass. Ends up getting the ball. And then everybody panics, which they probably should do because the keeper's just giving the ball away. Everyone's like, actually, not bad defensive position, trying to come back in and cover. Squares the ball. And because there's not enough defenders back, Rashford finds himself in acres and acres of space and slots the ball home. They've given them a goal. They've let them play themselves back into the game because of your own stupidity. Shouldn't happen in football. Shouldn't happen. Does. It's the Premier League. Let's get on to the last goal. So I expected United to actually win this game, and the reason why is because the two systems don't mash. So Tottenham like to play with a really high line, and United have got pace to exploit that high line, and they've got ball players in Ratface who can put a ball in behind, and Rashford and company can run on and finish basically because Tottenham just play the way Tottenham do. You can see that straight away in this first goal happened almost instantly as the game started. Tottenham kind of got caught out. This little wee man here leaves a gap in behind for Rashford. But here's the thing. Rashford doesn't run on and score this goal. Even though he is out of position, he still gets back. He still covers and he still gets, does his job, but not quite good enough, as you're going to see. As we move this forward, Bosh, in the ball goes. Now, you see, this is where Rashford's not very good. If this was like Son or a decent striker, like even Saka for Arsenal, he's taking a touch, putting that in front of him and smashing that into the goal. The first touch is putting him towards the 18-yard line, right? That's where he's going. His first touch isn't bouncing up here, it's going over here. So he can run on, maybe have another touch, beat the keeper and slot it home here and use his advantage that he has, which is his pace. That isn't really the case. So when this ball sort of bubbles and bounces, do you see, look, it ends up taking him wide because his first touch is so bad. And this gives the defender all the time he needs to get back in. And everyone's, will think, oh yeah, but Rashford's doing well. No, you can't do this. You're playing for Man United. You're in the Premier League. You can't be having a bad touch that's taking you wide. It's a great pass into him. All he has to do is use the outside of his right foot and guide it into the space and carry on and finish the ball. And he doesn't. He pulls himself wide right now. Now he's doing what he always does, and this is just terrible. He slows the ball down. Well, he just had all the pace in the world to go and beat this player. He's let this guy get all the way back. He had a 4 yards head start on him. The guy's caught back up and then got into position because his first touch is terrible. Like, it's not a good point to be in, even though they get a goal from it. This is why Rashford doesn't score any of the goals week in, week out, because that killer instinct and that quality just isn't there. He's a mid-table player at best, not a Man United player. So now he's faced this player up, so we're all expecting him to cut in on his right foot and have a go at the goal. Let's see what he does. Cuts in on his right foot, goes to shoot at the goal. What a shock. Everybody's seen him play. Everybody knows that's what he's doing. So now the covering defender comes over and shuts down this gap. Bosh. Look, you can see he comes in, covers up. He's expecting the shot. He's put his hands behind his back. And now there's a bit of a calamity of errors here because they're all getting each other's way. If Rashford had played this back heel, I would have given him credit, but he hasn't. The Tottenham player is actually playing this ball, trying to clear it, and it drops to Højlund. Now, this guy's not very good. I think he scored 1 goal in the Premier League at 20 years of age. And everyone's going, oh, yeah, but he's only 20, Cash. Don't give him a hard time. I don't care. You're playing every single game for Man United. You need to be scoring goals. And I'm not talking 20 goals. I'm talking 5. Let's just have 5 goals. We're halfway through the season. How about just 5 goals? We'd be happy with that. Puts his little foot on it, but he does fire a rocket into the top corner, and you're not saving that with 100 keepers. It's a really good strike. But it isn't a created goal. And this is very important, what people need to understand. If you're creating chances and you're creating certain things, you're going to keep getting goals. This is just a lucky goal because there's a couple of mistakes that seems to happen. And there's no sort of style of play from United or consistency from them. That's why they're struggling so bad. And you have to also understand this. I need to probably do a whole coaching course on this. Well, I do, but that's in real people, not on the internet. About how you develop a team. And the results aren't important as much as the way that you play the game. Because one thing, football wins. If you keep playing good football, you'll end up winning. If you're just all over the place, you're always going to be all over the place. And that's where United are. To get onto that, we're going to show you the next goal here with old Rashford's out wide. Now, of course, you're expecting him to run in and trying to have a shot at goal. Everybody is. Because that's all he does, other than lose the football. Or run the ball out of bounds for a goal kick. He's good at that as well. So let's just watch what he does. The first time in history, is Rashford going to pass the football and actually make a pass? Yes, he is. And this is what gets a goal. If he did more of this and changed up his play a little bit, it'd be 100 times better football player. You know, trusted his teammates to give them the ball and get the ball back. But he doesn't. So when he gets the ball here, he's going for the shot, but you can see immediately he's blocked off. Both players know exactly what he's going to do. So for once, instead of just smashing the ball at the players, which is what he'd normally do, he actually goes and finds someone's feet. Perfect. Is the issue with Tottenham, though? Look at how many people have bunched around Rashford because they just immediately assume he's going to shoot. The marking here isn't high enough, so he gets a simple pass. He gets 2 touches in the box, and there's no challenge on him. Dump, and he knocks it back out. And this is quality from Rashford because he actually just passes the ball in the goal. Doesn't try to blast it. This is what quality finishing is. This is how you finish the goal, and he just rolls it into the corner and gets himself a goal. So right now we're going to be talking about defensively. This isn't bad. We've got a guy here. He's not too close here. He's perfectly covering in the space in behind. Overall, it's a decent job. So we're going to get a little bit of ball movement here, which is perfect. Right, as we move this ball here, boom. So now what should happen is this. Defensively, this guy should come and pressure this ball. This guy should back up here and defend his mate. He should track the runner just a bit, but not too much. He just needs to be defending his mate, because remember, the most important thing is the ball. And I'm telling you now, Premier League coaches have no bloody clue how to coach football. I'm telling you this is the truth, because they don't understand that the ball is the most important. Because what I'm going to show you over and over again of what they've teaching their players, because their players are tracking runners, and what's happening is, as they track the runner, the guy on the ball gets all of the space and freedom in the world. And it happens throughout this game, and it happens all the time, but this one is just a classic example because it's not just in the game where I can, record the whole game and show it to you. Well, this is happening near the goals, so I can actually show you the footage a little bit better. I need to turn my webcam on so you can laugh at my hand movements and how much I move my hands in my head when I'm talking. I'm a very hand person when I'm talking. Okay, so now watch what happens. Okay, so this guy this guy's job is only to back up his mate here on the ball. Watch what happens as he goes. Right, he stops, he's jockeying. Okay, now he's got a little bit too far away. That's fine. But there's another run that's come across here with the other player on. That's fine, because he's not really involved in this play. It's these two defenders defending this one ball here. Watch what ends up happening. He ends up going back to this guy here, and he doesn't defend it, back up his teammate. Do you see that little sidestep there? That's the difference, right? Let's see if we can get it right. Okay, so there he is perfectly. He does a sidestep to mark this player, because what he's doing, he's anticipating the pass in here and he's trying to cut it off, and he doesn't understand. He doesn't do it that way. What he does is he stands there, lets him pass it and beats him to the ball there. That's what he's supposed to do. Instead, what he does is he gets there a little bit too early because he's not good at the football. Watch. Do you see? He goes, and now he's going with the runner. All he needs to do is go to the ball, and he doesn't do it. So then what ends up happening is this, because he's going with the runner, and he's not going to the ball, and he hasn't backed up his teammate there. It's just terrible defending. All of a sudden, this ball goes across the box. There's a little run that pulled this defender away. Now here's a little bit of a dummy. Bump pulls another defender away because they've completely stopped trying to win the football. They're just tracking runners because, that's important coaching thing. Someone once read a coaching manual and I've done my Pro A license and they say track the runners. No, win the football. That's the important thing. You know the round thing? That's the thing that gets you points, not running around marking runners for no reason. And that is exactly what happened right there. And then we're going to talk about this little quality finish here, because Marcus Rashford, he's not really good at the football, but what he is good is finishing. He's got 2 skills. He can run a bit and he can kick a bit, and his finish is in that kick a bit, and he can kick it a bit, and it's a quality finish into the corner. Bosh, have some of that. Passes it in. Very, very nice finish. Apparently he needs to go down to the pub a little bit more often because he becomes a better footballer. Now don't get it mixed up when I'm saying this, because there's lots of players like what's that guy Mudryk at Chelsea. He would love to be able to run a bit and kick a bit. He can't really run with the ball very well, and he can't really finish. But Rashford can. Rashford isn't going to beat you by playing 3 little quick one-touch passes because he doesn't have that in his locker. He's going to beat you because he's faster than you, he can run a bit, and he's going to beat you because he's got a quality finish, he can kick a bit. That's what we mean by when we say that. Let's get on to the next goal, because we've got a lot to talk about. Okay, so right now we're looking at a cross-field pass. There's a couple of things I want to mention about this as well, because I've been seeing a lot when I talk about this. You're going to see it all in the weekend in the games being played. So this ball's going across here. This man does a decent job coming out to defend it. Now, let me explain to you what overlapping's for. The point of doing an overlap is to exploit the space in behind there and break the offside trap. Okay, if you're doing an overlap, if this line here is here and you're trying to do an overlap into this space here, there's no point doing it. You will see this all the time in the Premier League when there's a player in the box here and the guy tries to do an overlap to here to try to get the cross in, because they don't understand what they're doing. What they really should be doing is making an underlap coming this way, getting the ball and getting a shot off because they're so close to the goal. You can't exploit the space there because there is no space. Or you come back here, you drop the ball, and then you try to get your cross in. All right? You don't, but the reason I'm saying this is because this is one of the better overlaps that's actually happened in the Premier League recently. So when this ball comes out here, Bosch, you can see this guy's coming out. He's doing a good job. He's getting out there. Now this guy needs to go and help him as fast as possible. Okay, why does he need to get out there as fast as possible? Right, because his job in this situation would be to cover this gap, this space here. This guy here does not do it. He needs to stay central with him and keep that unit together. That's what these two centre-backs need to be doing right there. This guy needs to be close enough here, so if he gets beat, he can cover into this space here. That's what his job should be right here. Let's watch what happens. So as this goes on, Bosch, he's not getting quite close enough, but here comes that overlap from Luke Shaw. He's busting his gut over there, and is it a good overlap? Yeah, for the first time in quite a while in the Premier League it is, because of this open space here. This is the space he wants to exploit, so he goes running into it. Let's watch what happens, shall we? As it goes. Sorry, I've just jumped a couple of frames forward because I will get copyright struck again because their Premier League hates me. Now this is what's interesting. You see when that guy, now he can't get there and cover that shape. Let me just show you that. Look, he's not understood his role. Do you see how close these two have got together now? This guy now hasn't gone over here to cover because he doesn't understand his role and responsibility. He is now trying to help pressure this ball here instead of noticing what's going on here. And you know what I was saying, tracking the runner? Well, he's not in a position to track the runner. You know, like I was just yelling, you don't track the runner, you pressure the ball. Well, you've got a man pressuring the ball and you have to wait. As soon as that ball's passed, you'll know your job is to track that runner when the ball is passed, because you want to get there at the same time as the ball to try to win the tackle. Let's see what happens as it goes. Dosh. Do you see how close he gets here? So he doesn't understand his role. He's trying to double up on a player here for no reason, because there's two people and you don't need two people to win one football. You need to stay in your space and back up your teammate. If your mate gets beaten, you can block the shot and you can come in and make that challenge. Both of you stood there, makes it really easy for this guy. You can just lay the pass off so he can get the cross into the front corner. Front post, front corner, yeah. That's a thing in football. We've just made a thing called the front corner. As he whips this cross in here, though, I want you to understand this guy here. Look, I love him. Give me the ball. I want the ball. I love that. I want to score. I'm furthest away. Give it to me. There's a guy right here. Now, this is absolutely... it's a bit unlucky, I suppose, because it takes a little nick off this guy here. But the keeper getting beat here at this front post is terrible. Ball comes across. Dumph gets it into the net box. Here it is. It takes a little nick. Dunk. Bounce goes through his legs. Hoyland gets a little touch on it and it goes into the net box. Bulge, there we go. But to be fair, they shouldn't be beating that easy. Well, the keeper shouldn't be beating that easy on the front post. The defender, well, yeah, I can accept that because it wasn't his job. It was the defensive midfielder, well, the midfielder who should have understood to come in and do that, but he didn't. Oh, a lot of that as well is because they coach this stupid 4-3-3 and they don't understand. If you're coaching a 4-4-2, you have this thing where your midfielders rotate and you come in and cover behind your left and right backs all the time. And because they don't actually do that or go through that process of coaching that system, and they haven't done that, they don't get, okay, that's what needs to happen in a 4-3-3. It's the same thing. That exposure on that left and right back is exactly the same. But they don't get that because they don't know what they're doing. This is the next goal. It's coming in from a corner. There's a couple of weird angles, but I'm really going to show you this one because I'm going to harp on about that point again I've been making, that this guy here, look, okay, there's a bit of a bundle. I love the bundle. Roar. But this guy here needs to go and win this ball. And he doesn't. He does, like, this is the weirdest goal I've seen in a long time. Basically, it comes in, hits this guy in the head, and it bounces into the goal. It's an awful goal to concede. This guy needs to challenge, but watch him as he moves forward. He doesn't even try to challenge for the ball. Watch. It just stops. Just absolutely stops in his tracks. I'm going to show it for this angle as well, so I can show you exactly what I mean by him stopping, because he's in full run. He's in full run, going to win the ball, and he doesn't. He just stops dead. It hits this kid in the face, and it bounces into the net box. It's just all around shocking, the fact that there's a guy that he's just in front of the penalty spot, and he's really kind of unmarked, because this guy's not close enough to make a challenge, and bounces him in the head, and it goes into the net box. Shocking. But there we go. It's the Premier League. What do you expect? We're going to talk about overcoaching and awful decision making here by these guys. Why I say it's overcoaching is because if you've coached as long as I have, you'll actually see it happen all the time. I've heard players yelling on the field, "We're in a 2v1. We're in a 2v1." No football players ever yelling they're in a 2v1. They've been told that from the coach and they're repeating it. And guess what? When they're in the 2v1, they lost because there was two of them against the one player, and the one player just played football and beat both of the two Muppets. This is going to happen right here in this situation when you watch this go forward here. Right, watch this. Bosh. Here we go. In it comes here. We're actually quite in a nice shape defensively. There's no way he can dribble through all of us. Right, as we come here, watch what this guy does here. Here's the runner. Watch what he does. The most important thing is for him to tackle and go for the football. What does he do? He runs completely away from the football. Doesn't go near it. Tracks the runner. Watch. Tracks the runner. He lets this guy go straight through the middle of the field and pass the ball into the goal. Because of his poor defending. Let's watch that again. Here he is. Here's the Muppet. Right here. Whoop, whoop. Here's the guy he's going to end up tracking for some unknown reason. And I'll tell you why. It's because he's been coached. You've got to track the runner. You've got to go with... No, you've got to win the football first. You've got to go to the football first, because that's the important thing. Watch what happens. This guy goes in, boom, goes in there. Look, he's thinking about it. Oh, do I go to the ball? No. He's going to play the ball behind me into that guy. No, he's not. He's just going to walk straight into the space that you run away from for some reason. I run away from it. Oh, look, I've run off. And he just walks straight into the space and smashed it into the goal because you're a Muppet. That is absolutely shocking at this standard. I mean, that's shocking on the Sunday League standard, but at this standard, it's even worse. But there we go. I'll leave it there, and I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you can. United, you can see the difference when they've got some of their first team players back, and I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of Casemiro and the confidence that he brings to the team in this first goal here. So let's just watch as their centre back here bonks the little ball up, and it's a nothing ball really. He's just chipped it up, and he's playing over here on the left hand side. He's just chipped it up. It's a nothing hopeful ball because quite frankly his strike is tiny against Kurt Zouma. Clearly Kurt Zouma is going to win the header all day every day, but he's just kind of just getting rid of the ball to see what happens. Sometimes you do that in football. 99 times out of 100 nothing good happens of it, just like this time. Nothing good happens. Boom, the header comes down, but the header isn't good enough. It's right. So this is the difference in quality. If that's a Saliba or a quality centre back or Gabriel or someone like that, it is going straight to this guy here, and he's able to turn and play the game of football. It's not. He's just hit it. He's just headed it to win the ball instead of headed the ball to pass the ball. And there's a difference in quality there of actual players. If you think, oh yeah, but he just needs to head it. No, he doesn't. No, not at this level. He needs to head it and get it to his teammate's foot. And if he can't do that, he shouldn't be doing it. So he doesn't. He gets this kind of wrong. Bush, look, and now it comes down to Casemiro here, and he's an old fart. He's got no right to win this ball here. He's slower, older, and fatter than this guy. But what he lacks in all of that, he makes up for in desire, and desire can beat all of those things. And that's what he does. He drives his team forward here with this, and this is what Chelsea are missing, because they've sold off all their old war horses. This is an old war horse. He's a bit too old to be playing really at the highest level. That's why Real Madrid got rid of him. Real Madrid don't get rid of good players. They don't sell players in their peak. They don't sell players in their prime. They sell them when they're on their way down. And he's on his way down. But you know what? He's still got a good tackle in him here and there. And then because he makes this, watch Bosh. Boff, he wins that. Like, not properly. He gets a little bit of a shove, can't stay on his feet. But he does exactly what he needs to. And he gets the ball moving forward for his teammates. Bosh, there we go. Now, of course, Kurt Zouma, who just made a mistake there. He was too busy probably thinking about kicking cats. He doesn't go and pressure the ball, which I think he probably should, because he's the closest player forward, to actually try to slow the ball down here. He really needs to engage here. He doesn't. He starts dropping off, but there's a problem. If you start dropping off, that's a trigger for your other mate to come in and go and pressure the ball. One drops off, one pressures. Or that's just basically how it works. Or if he pressures, he drops off. Absolutely fine. That's what you're supposed to do. He doesn't know that. He doesn't pressure. He doesn't stay with the ball. And now all of a sudden, what it's done is give this guy time and space on the ball. So now he can decide what he wants to do, and he's decided to use a little bit of skill, drops his shoulder, takes both defenders out of the way because they didn't get their coordination correct. Zuma should have been, pressuring the ball. Basically, they both did the same thing. They both dropped off and then they both pressured at the same time. You can put it that way. So neither of them did anything, really, because they both got taken out with that little bit of skill. And this wee man finds the bottom corner with his little strike. Blonk, off he goes down there. Don't know if the keeper could have done better or not, because the strike is pretty solid, to be fair. To me, it's all from the Kurt Zuma header. Should have done much better. And the willing of Casemiro to win the ball. So I talk about this quite often, is you don't need to mark this player over here. Do you see him? Right? You do not need to do it when the ball is on this side of the field, especially if you're well coached. You can see that this West Ham team are not well coached, and I'm going to show you why right now. His body shape is facing the wrong way. His shoulders are here, he's facing that way. His shoulders are there and he's facing that way. This guy on the last there, he needs to be on the turn. So what does that mean, on the turn? He needs to have his shoulders here and he needs to be facing that way. He can stand exactly where he is, that's absolutely fine. But then in the next moment, right, the ball has to travel all the way to there. And guess what he can do? He can see that ball and he can see the player travelling to it. So all he has to do is run. He's got two options. Run and pressure the first touch, which you wouldn't do in this situation. If you don't know why you shouldn't run and pressure the first touch, go back to look at all my 100 bazillion videos and you'll find that out. He needs to get there just close enough so when he receives his first touch, he can then try to make a play. Let's watch what he does. Here we go. We know the ball's going to get there because Ratface is on it. Ratface whacks the ball. Look at how slow he is moving. He can see it. He needs to be getting there, sprinting there as fast as he can. He's not. Look, he's casual. That's not sprinting. That's jogging or slow jogging at best. And that's the difference of a well-trained team and not a well-trained team. Because if you're jogging like that, I'm going to come and scream at you. Because what's going to happen next is not only does he have a first touch, he gets a second touch because his first touch is awful. And what you should have been doing is challenging him on that moment there. But you weren't close enough because you didn't put in the effort. Then he gets the third touch because the first and second touch still were not good enough. He still didn't get the ball under control. It took him 3 touches and the guy still didn't get close enough. Now he's too far away. He can take a touch inside, and when you know he's going to do that because he's left-footed and he's going to hit it as hard as he can, takes a ricochet and gets himself a goal. All because this left-back can't identify that and close him down as fast as he can. Terrible. Let's get on to the next goal. So I'm going to show you the little setup here of Calvin Phillips. Now, this is a classic example of going to a team for the money and then never playing football again, and you're being bad at the old football. This guy got done, in the last West Ham game over here. Last time, not obviously at Old Trafford, but where they were playing the ball back, playing the other team in for a goal. Now he's getting done again here. The ball's coming straight into him, Bosch, and he just can't deal with it. He doesn't know what he's doing here. He's on the half term. He can't separate the guy, and he needs to be playing first time and getting this ball out here, down here. He doesn't get that. A lot of times when you've been playing with higher level footballers, if you're not good enough, there's a reason he's not. Put it this way, I'm trying to be polite without telling he's absolutely wank, and that's why Man City didn't want him. But that's the truth. He's absolutely wank, and that's why Man City don't want him. Because if he could do this job here and play like that, Man City would have him in the team, especially as a sub. But he's not. He's never there. So look, Dosh gets done. Not only does he get done, he's got the opportunity there just to do exactly what Casemiro did: slide and poke the ball back and try to get it to one of his teammates. But he doesn't have the desire because he can't get it quite right. See that? He's pulled back a little bit and he's not good enough. And now they're off to the races and he's there asking for a free kick going, mate, you're not good enough. Sorry, you shouldn't have gone to a club for the money. You should have carried on playing football and you would have been much better. Now United are off to the races, 4 against 2 pretty much. Up they come, move in, nice, not a bad little run across the ball. That's all, never a bad thing, trying to pull a defender away because he's in no man's land. It doesn't matter what he does. If he steps to the ball, he gets past here. If he doesn't step to the ball, the guy can beat him with a shot. So what's he going to do? He stands there, tries to, good body position actually, that's not bad. He does adjust himself, knowing that the pass is going to go out there. Let me show you what I mean by that. So what he's doing really quickly is he's setting himself on the half turn, exactly like we just talked about a minute ago, so he can run out there and close that on a little curved run. Hopefully he can get there quick enough, but let's see if he does. Dorsch takes a touch, slides the ball. The keeper's got to do better. Slides the ball past everyone into the goal. The keeper there has to do better in my opinion. But that's probably overall the best goal that United scored because they nicked the ball and then they did it with a counter-attack. Everything else was kind of a little bit of individual skill for me. But there we go. I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football. Here we go. We've got the first goal here where the ball's coming in and old Big Fish himself Oh my God, he's just awful. Maguire is jumping up to go and win the ball. But there's a couple of problems here from the Aston Villa point of view. And if I call Aston Villa West Ham, I mean Aston Villa. Yeah, I do call Aston Villa West Ham and West Ham Aston Villa quite often. So yeah, this header though, it's not really challenged by the Villa. Like, can you see the guy hits Maguire afterwards? But I'll tell you what, I do like this little Rasmus character here, because what he is a proper striker. Proper strikers are looking at that ball, right, and oh God, who was that idiot in the when Cristiano Ronaldo got his hat trick and he didn't because the other guy kicked it in? Do you remember on that wonder goal? I think it was what was his name? I don't know. Played for United and Nani, that's the guy, Nani. But Nani's instinct was to kick it into the ball. Sorry, to kick the ball into the net box, even when the ball's already travelling that way. But that means he's already watching. Look at Erasmus watching this. Of course, the ball's not going into the goal, but nobody else is reacting. Nobody else is following or tracking the ball. He is the only one on the field, in the box, paying attention to where the ball's going for him to get himself a goal. Like, to me, it's amazing. Like, he had enough players around him. Look, he's obviously, Mings has pulled up, going, "Hey, come on, guys, he's got to be offside. What are you doing?" Clearly, he's not, because he was watching the game. But that is such an easy goal to defend if they are paying attention and just following the flight of the ball and defending the ball. They're just not, though. Let's show you that from another angle, because I want to show you the Maguire header if I can. Okay, before it comes in, look at the separation here. Look at how much space Maguire's got to jump up. Right, so a player like of his quality headering the ball, because generally that's, I'd say a good 40% of what defenders do is header the ball away, right, clear the ball. You know he's a danger. You've got to be tighter. The reason you're tighter as well is because you're in his frame. You're trying to stop him getting any power from his feet or jumping up forward, right? And as this goes up push, he's not really close enough. Maguire's keeping him at bay, and he's not even trying to challenge him. It's old number 3 here coming across. Look, he's the end up one that's coming to do it. And look at the purchase here he gets on this header right here. Clearly he's onside, and this is the other frustration thing. Look at this guy here. Look at him. He is watching him and the ball and still doesn't react, and still doesn't get there. You can see what's happening, doesn't react to it. As the ball starts to come across, he's all too late. And that's what I'm talking about, the reactions. Look, he stepped back trying to play him offside. It's not offside. And he just gets a simple goal. And that's one of the things I'm noticing more and more. You knew it when you were, if you coach as long as I have, you can tell people that have just learned something in coaching courses, okay? Well, what do you mean, Cash, just learned something in a coaching course? Well, they don't know why. A lot of people that teach coaching courses don't know anything about football. What they can do is repeat what they've heard, and they don't know the process of why that thing is installed in the first place. So let's take an example here. Why do you need to step up and play him offside? Okay, because we've got pressure on the ball. Is there any pressure on the ball? No. So you can't step up and try to play him offside. There's a couple of other reasons you can't play him offside in this situation. It's because you're in your own 18-yard box. And if you do get it wrong, it's automatically a goal. So you can't afford to take that risk. So there's lots of things here where you're going, oh, God, the guy's just trying to be cute and playing them offside instead of just winning the ball. Because if he does try to win the ball, he's probably putting in a good enough challenge or getting, enough to try to stop this goal, and he does neither of those things, which to me is just not good enough at this level. Here we go. We're talking about a little chip ball into the half space here, and I want you into the channel here, and I want you to see how quick his feet move here. It's quite interesting, this little kiddie. He's got a bit of a little doof doof. Do you see that? When he just rolls it from one foot to the other, taps it away, and this is a great cross. If you've got when someone plays crosses like this, good things happen. He just runs up and he's hit it. Bosh. That is a fantastic way to cross a ball. Just running up and hitting it because your teammates set it up. It's almost stopped. He's not passing it to you. He's kind of almost stopped the ball. Now it's just a challenge on the back post and who wants it more. And I tell you, it's not the Villa player. Bomb. Look at the positioning. Completely beaten in the air. And I'll show you from the other angle as well of how bad he was beaten. Again, look, he's trying to foul the player and not try to win the ball. Can you see that? He's on the wrong side of him because he hasn't got set early enough. Look at his body shape, trying to win the header or trying to stop him doing it. He's basically got his arms in his chest there. That's just awful. And the reason that's terrible is because he hasn't got himself already set. So before the play's going out and the guy's running into, McTominay trying to run into the box, he's been lazy to get goal side of him so he can actually defend properly. He's still behind the player. And we know he had time because the guy had to go whoop, whoop, shimmy past those two players, stop the ball and cross it. So he had all the time in the world to get there because McTominay had all the time in the world to get there. If he can get there, so can the Aston Villa player, and he doesn't. Other than that, yeah, it's looking a bit shocking for Villa at the minute, but I think they'll be fine. And Man United are on the rise. Other than that, I'll see you next time in Cass Talks Football. Now, there's a couple of things. There's not really much to talk about with the breakdown of the goals, really, because they're kind of just small little silly mistakes. So I want to focus right here on this clearance here by Casemiro, and this is so undervalued with just smashing the ball down the field to go give your striker something to chase onto. And nowadays in the Premier League, everyone playing hipster football, trying to pass it out, all cutesy all of the time. It's not always the best option. Remember, the only reason that you can go wide is because you can go forward. Well, what does that mean, Cash? If you haven't, if you don't really know about how width and depth is perceived on a football field, the only reason you can get width is if you have depth. So what's depth? Pushing the ball down the field or down the centre of the field. So you're pushing their defensive line back. So now you can go wide and now you can stretch the defensive line. If you can't push the defensive line back, you can't really stretch it wide. Okay, because they can just track you wide, left and right, easy. So just sometimes smashing a ball down the field for somebody to go and chase onto is perfect. And that's what he does here. He smashes this ball, bosh. And now we're going to look at the next guy. Here he is with all the time in the world. So I've got to stop it quite a bit because I'm on my second copyright strike at the moment. I'm trying to dispute because they're saying it's not fair use, and it clearly is. Right, and you don't want to hear about that nonsense anyway. So you can see the defender's got all the time in the world here. There's the ball. All you've got to do is play it back to his goalkeeper. I want to show you from another angle as well so you can see how much sort of time and space he's got, and he clearly can see his goalkeeper. Same shot from the different angle. You can see quite clearly all he's got to do is pass it to his keeper, and he's quidding, and he's making, the easiest little pass back at the start of the game, not even a minute in, and keeping possession, and away we go. Doesn't, completely whiffs the ball. Completely and utterly whiffs the ball and gives it to this wee man to run in 1v1 with the goalkeeper. Now the goalkeeper's positioning is not bad. Well, it is, but it isn't. It's one of those things where he's close enough so the striker has to try to make a decision early. So because the keeper doesn't have to come out and close him down, the keeper's already there to close him down. So as he starts moving towards him, bosh, look, the keeper's backing up now instead of actually coming towards him. It's two different scenarios. Now, of course, you saw Darwin Núñez chip the keeper the other day. What's this guy going to do? It's all about his touch, because he doesn't really try to beat the keeper with his touch. But he does, right? What does that mean, Kesh? He's not trying to beat the keeper. Well, he's not trying to dribble around the keeper. He's trying to beat the keeper, put the ball into some space and have a shot. Watch. Here's that first touch that I'm talking about here. Bosh. There. He's pushed it past the keeper so he can just turn and strike it in the goal. Quite quality, to be honest. It's a good little tidy finish. Beating the keeper quite convincingly, doesn't give him a sniff or any way to get close to him. And the reason why that's important is because United had a load of 1v1s this game with, Garnacho and Bruno Fernandes, and both of them messed them up. Both of them didn't really have a clue because both of them almost ran at the keeper like the keeper was a player and tried to dribble him, and they didn't understand when the keeper is... well, he can use his hands and how you have to make that separation to get the shot off. That's what he did there. He got that separation off. That's why that ball into the space with that first touch was important, because he made that separation, bosh, to get it away. Bruno Fernandes and Garnacho didn't get that separation because they didn't realise that he's a goalkeeper and he could dive with his hands, and they were just too close to him, thinking he's like a field player and he can get away with, not pushing it so far away like this guy understood. Let's get on to the next goal. As this corner comes in, anyone who's listened to my channel before is going to know exactly what I'm going to say when we stop it right here. Because what are we talking about? We're talking about the D. And if you know what I mean about playing near the D, you're going to get goals if you stand around here, because this is where the ball bounces and you always needed to be defending this area here. So, or if you want to score goals as an attacking midfielder or even as a left or right back and you get to go up, for corners, stand in this area here. Two things are going to happen. When the ball breaks, you can either keep the ball going or you can get a good shot off. If you're defending, you want to stand here so you can knock it away, so you can get rid of all the stuff in the D. That's what you want to be doing. This is not, it's not a bad strike, but it's not a great strike. All he has to do is hit it on target, which he does, and it takes a ricochet off this guy here. Now, when I was watching this game, it was kind of strange because the keeper's immediate reaction is to call offside. Like he puts his arms out like, oh, it's offside. I actually think he might have, I don't know if he could have saved it or done something with this ball. Because look, he doesn't dive. He puts his hands up offside. He's clearly not offside because these two players on the back post are playing him on. But you can't just stop. Even if the guy is offside, you've got to dive. You've got to, because you know what? 9 times you're completely wrong. Completely and utterly wrong. Just watch the keeper's movement or lack of movement. He's that purple blob behind this other grainy blob of nonsense. But there he goes. You can see his feet are going to set. He's going to dive. And he doesn't. He puts his hand up. Yeah, I don't know about that, keeper. I really don't. I really have no, like, ugh. Yeah, maybe he knows he can't save it, so he's just putting his hands up and he doesn't want like a prat diving for the ball. And if he goes for the, I don't know, he should have dived, in my opinion, right? You know, even if he doesn't get it. Here we are on the United's goal. It's from the corner. Play's broken down. Ratface has got the ball back. He's beaten his player 1v1 there. It's quite convincingly. And honestly, Ratface isn't a midfielder. People think he is. He's just not. He's what we would class as a luxury midfielder because he doesn't track back. He doesn't tackle. He doesn't do interceptions. He can pass, yeah. He can shoot, yeah. He can be creative, yeah. But that's not what a midfielder is. He's all those things. Passing, tackling, all intertwined. And if he, as soon as those other people aren't doing jobs like Casemiro and defending for him correctly, you need to have that other midfielder doing that. He wouldn't get in the Man City midfield. He wouldn't get in the Arsenal midfield. He wouldn't get even in the Newcastle midfield because he does not work hard enough for the team, which is shocking. But let's have a look. This guy's going to score here. It's Harry Maguire. He's awful at the defending, but he's not bad at scoring the goals every now and again. He's actually kind of not marked, but marked. And Fulham kind of switch off here. Watch this. As this ball comes in, Bosch, not bad, blinds the keeper, doing a bit of a thing. But the rest of them switch off, and the keeper should catch this ball. If you look at that image right there, you're going, the keeper's going to catch this. And he doesn't. He parries it out, bounces it away, and someone has to get rid of it. Harry Maguire steps in and gets it. He's on his own. Look again. As much as I was ragging on United for not marking in the box, you've got 1-2 players here unmarked. Everybody else has pushed up a little bit too fast. And he gets a tap in. Even Maguire can score that, and he does with ease. Right now, what's just happened is Onana's smashed the ball down the field. Bosch, and here we go. We've got a little bit of a tussle, 1v1 here, as Bruno Fernandes holds up the ball. Now, I didn't play the first part of it because I really want to show you this is where the play sort of develops because they play a high line and they break the offside trap and now they're running in. But this is where everything seems to get interesting here. Now, Man City aren't exactly great at defending. People go, yeah, but Cash, look at their defense. No, they're not. If you look at their defensive record, they conceded, I think, more goals this season than they did previously. And a lot of that is because they have so much of the ball. They don't generally have to defend that much because they've always got 60% of the ball. So they do tend to make a lot of little silly mistakes. And this isn't a silly mistake, but I just want to show you how they get pulled apart quite easily here. So let's just move this on a little. And this is the run I want to show you here. This is the reason all the space happens. Is because this guy makes a forward run, trying to get people into the box. Like, he doesn't know what to do. This is what we call a bad football player. Right now, he needs to be running in. Look, if he runs in, Dosh, he gets the ball here. Look, can you see he's dropping off and coming short? That means he's got no confidence whatsoever. He needs to be busting a gut to get inside the box. And that's why you can tell, look, he's not going to make it. At this level, if he's not doing that already at his age, he's never going to do it. He's always going to be coming short, and it's not good enough. You can see, I think this is Nathan Ake, probably not, trying to get back and defend and trying to get in and cover this gap because he spots that this space here is the danger. So he's trying to get back in as much as he can. Let's just move this forward. Bosch, do you see him stopping, right? When he stops like that, this is the problem if you're trying to, stop short. If they pass the ball to him, he stood still. So people go, oh, you've got to come towards the ball. Well, he can't because he's waiting for the ball to get to him. If he starts coming towards it, he won't be able to get his strike off properly. So he puts himself in a situation where he cannot strike the ball, which if he carried on his run, yeah, he might have been offside, but he also might have pulled this guy with him a little bit more. And that's why I'm talking about this run here, because this is Rodri and he spots the danger, which is exactly what he's supposed to do, and track this run. Watch as he tracks this run. See, he goes to track the run and then he realises it's too deep and I've got to defend with my mate here. Perfect. This is the difference in like a world-class centre midfielder and just a rubbish one. Right? The rubbish one would have carried on with the run, stood over here and gone, I'm marking my player. Where he's come short and tried to double up on the ball here. Brilliant. Unfortunately, it's come to Rashford, who I don't care what anyone says, he's a terrible footballer. And listen to the words I am saying. He cannot play football. What he can do, he's got a lot of pace, he can run a bit, and what he can do is kick a bit. He can strike a mean ball. If you ask him to play 1-2s, link up play, bring his teammates into the play, develop play, he cannot do it. That's for the age at 26 years old. He isn't scoring any goals. Oh, look, he had a good season last season. Doesn't matter. That's because everyone was pushing on United and they played counter-attacking football, and that's what plays to his strength. That's counter-attacking football at its finest. Someone's holding the ball up for him. He's running onto it and kicking it. Is he good at doing that? brilliant. If you're playing someone like Rashford on your team, you set him up to win by having it so he can run onto the ball and kick it, because that's pretty much all he is good at doing. But when he does do it, he does it really well. So look, you can see the spaces now has opened up from that run. There's Paul Rodri, who would normally be here, and now he gets to come on and smash the ball and have a strike goal. Bosh. Now, the quality of his strike here, and you can tell why it's the quality of his strike, is because of the movement of the ball, right? If there's not much spin on the ball and the ball's almost flat flying, you can tell it's a quality strike. As this ball spins, I know it's slow-mo, so it's not, so it's even slower, but watch, there's hardly any spin on the ball as it's going in. You can't really see it spinning and turning very fast at all. That means it's just a quality, clean strike, and he gets himself a goal, which is exactly what United needed to do, try to get a goal and then try to hold on. Because I'm going to talk a little bit about United, their style of play, and I was listening to United fan channel, Mark Goldbridge, and you've ever seen him, and he's absolutely wrong on so many things, and I'm actually going to start calling people out when they're saying complete and utter rubbish, like he was. And he's talking about United don't have the players to pass the ball and have the ball and do that. And I'm going to break that down and say that's absolutely rubbish. That's not the things that you need. Players aren't important, by the way. They are, but they're not. The most important thing when you're trying to pass or have a pass or possession based is shape. You cannot pass the ball without shape. Shape is different than formation. They are not the same thing. You have to understand that. And if the shape doesn't move when the ball moves and you don't dynamically change as the game goes and moves forward, you cannot pass the ball. United have no shape, therefore United can't pass the ball. And if they make 3 passes, there isn't a 4th one because they don't have a dynamic shape that covers and goes on. And I'm going to cover a bit of that as we go on. So all United could do is smash the ball down the field, and hopefully their forward line can run on and score. And the forward line's pretty tasty. They can run on and score. But I'm going to cover the penalties as well, because I don't think the first one was a penalty when I saw it in real time. And it's one of those things when you hear people say, if that was outside the box, that would be a foul, but inside the box, it's not a penalty. But this is one of those cases where I think it's inside the box and they call a penalty, but if it was outside the box, they would have told him to shut up and get on with it. And I'm going to show you that in a second here as well. Also, I'm going to point out about how Everton getting caught on the counter-attack and what some of the awful things they were doing just defensively. And if they had a little bit of quality up front in any way, and I don't mean like a striker, I mean someone that could pass the ball, they would have beaten United by about, it would have been about 3-2, 4-2, because the amount of crosses and passes that they put into the United penalty area but were just awful. I mean, just absolutely awful. They had all the time in the world to pick out a good pass and they just couldn't do it. They just don't have the quality. And that goes down to, again, United giving them the time and the space to do that. And it goes back to their shape. And they don't have one. They don't have any idea. And I'll cover that in a second. Let's get on to the first couple. Here we are. He's going to cut the ball back on his foot. But this is the important thing to me as to how quickly this little clown goes down. And he goes down like he's been shot. If he's done that on the rest of the field on the halfway line, the ref is telling him to get up and play on. I guarantee you. And he might even give him a yellow card for simulation and diving because he's acting like he's just been shot and he's crying on the floor. I mean, that's pretty poor. That is pretty poor. Now, this is closer to the angle that the ref would be looking at, but he'd be looking at back from more over here, coming across. So the guy's going for the ball, as you can see. As he's missed it, he's gone through and he's tapped the guy's leg. Okay, he's caught him, and he's gone down screaming, straight down onto his knees, both things. I guarantee you that happens probably 10 times in a game of football and the ref says get up and carry on. But they get the pen. But now I want to show you on Bruno Fernandes's penalty, the little rat face, how he beats dinosaur hands. And this is where Jordan Henderson gets made fun of because he's got small arms all of the time. But it's more important than that. It's how Bruno Fernandes beats him with a look. Let's watch this. Actually, can't find the angle that they showed you in the game, but you might be able to see it from right here. What he does is he runs up, he looks this way. Okay, and Pickford takes a little step over here before he goes over to the other side. Oh, look at my boomerness. Well done, Cash. Right, so as we play this, let's watch this. He goes, and then Pickford, I'm thinking of Dean Henderson, bloody hell, goes, and you can see, look, he's dove as far as he can. He's a Premier League goalkeeper. Let's just identify that. He's a Premier League goalkeeper, and his hand reaches to there, and he can't get that space there. That's why he's got tiny little hands. Now, he's either that, or he's absolutely rubbish of being a goalkeeper because he's athletically poor. And I go through it's a bit of both because I want to show you this where his feet is. He's not jumping off his foot. He's not putting any weight on that foot and pushing forward. He's just falling over on that side because he's basically been wrong stepped by that little sharky look he's done over there. So his foot is nailed to the ground. His foot is nailed to the ground there and he can't get over and deal with that, so his hand falls short. That's exactly what ends up happening here. It's not really a dive, it's a fall over, and Ratface gets himself a goal. So this all comes from a free kick from Everton, which Dinosaur Hands takes, and he smashes it down the field. And Everton have all these players in certain situations, but they basically, when the header's won, there's no Everton player in the middle of the field here to win the ball and keep the pressure on their end of the on that side of the field. So it drops to a United player, and the United player just basically runs through the Everton team because they're not set up in any way, shape, or form to actually. So let me sort of clarify a little bit more. So actually, when you're taking that free kick and you're putting it in, you need to make sure that you've got maybe 1-2 and a guy back, or you're the other way with 1-2 and not that one there. And a guy back there. So you can actually stop this properly and be in the middle of the field, on the side of the field where the ball is. And they're not. He's not in position. He's not in position. No one is in this middle area here to win the ball on this side, okay? On that side of the field. If he's over here, he's irrelevant. If he's on that flank there, he's relevant. If he's back there, he's irrelevant. Because the only really reason you're back there is to stop the 1v1 with pace. And if this guy's not there and he's back defending a bit, not needed so much. Right, so as this goes forward, let's watch this. Bosch passes off to this little wee guy here. Bang. From the moment this guy gets the ball here, right, not one single Everton player goes over to pressure the ball or try to stop him from here. Okay? Now, of course, I'm stopping it and playing it a few frames forward so I can beat the copyright nonsense. As you can see now, he's picked it up from over here. He's turned and he's run to here. Okay, let's say that's 10 yards. He's gone 10 yards without anyone trying to touch him or win the ball. This guy's run past him. This guy was here and he's run past him. Right? He's too busy tracking this runner instead of going towards the ball. And again, this is one of those things that nobody actually knows what they're doing defensively when the ball breaks down. Right. So does he go towards the ball? Because he's not going towards the ball. So someone's got to go towards the ball. Why are you tracking the runner? The ball's over here. If you go towards the runner, he might pass the ball and then he can intercept it or he can intercept it. But if you just track the runner, this guy gets a free run all the way down the field. And now here we are. Another 10 yards on. So what? 25 yards? This little wee guy's just run down the field. Everyone's going, oh, he's played so well. No, he hasn't. He's played rubbish. It's just that the Everton players played double rubbish. That's all that's happened. This guy still hasn't pressured the ball. This guy, for some reason, went with the runner instead of, if he went towards the ball, he'd go offside and we don't have to worry about that. No one's really gone to this guy. And here we go. We've got players running back. Why aren't you pressuring the ball? Because they don't know what they are doing. That's the reason. So when this moves forward here, Buff, in they come. Oh, he's finally gone to challenge him and he skipped past him. But there's a problem now, because if you challenge him in and around this area, you give away penalties. Where if you did it on the other end of the field, 25, 30 yards away, and you gave a free kick, you might just get a yellow card and stop the transition and stop the danger. Nope, as he runs in, Bosh, now we kick him over. Which we could have done on 35 yards away, but that's when we decided to do it. Because no one is pressuring the ball. People are running with players for some reason, because that's the new modern thing. I was told in my coaching lesson to run with the player and track the runner. Yeah, but that's not the important thing. You get the ball first, and if you and your teammate can't identify which one needs to pressure the ball, you should go and do it. Because you know what? If he's not doing it, you need to take responsibility. They don't know what they're doing, and it's obviously so poor when you can be in a situation like this. Look at this guy, right? Look at this guy. He has no idea what he's doing. Just go to the ball, mate. Just go to the ball. He ends up running all the way back here. It fathoms me. It just blows my mind. Look, just backing off. Yeah. Now, if this was a decent player, imagine that being Saka or Mo Salah, someone with a quality left foot, because look how far this idiot's off his line. Smashing the ball into the top corner. I mean, genuinely, I don't understand how they can be this bad at football. Their coach can let them get away with this, and they're in the Premier League. But until next time I yell at idiot. Oh, let's talk about some of that stuff that Goldbridge was saying. That Well, because it's very important, the fact that he doesn't understand why United can't pass the ball around and the difference between shape and formation is absolutely huge. It's one of the first basic things that you learn coaching football. And if he doesn't know that and he's prattling on like his team can't pass the ball or understand, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, at the basic level of football. I'm going to make a little short on it. He's never going to see it because he's a huge mega channel. But I'm still going to start calling some of these people out. And I don't really want to get into drama. That's not my point. My point is to educate. Because I couldn't give a crap about Goldbridge being right or wrong. Sorry, I do when he's wrong and he's saying it to millions of people. Because then they all start being wrong. And then all the people that are wrong think they're right. And they're not. So it is important that we get the message out. But we'll see. I watched a little bit of this Brentford Man United game. United are just making some of the similar mistakes that they were making, got punished for even though they ended up winning the FA Cup game against Liverpool. They're still trying to do the similar sort of thing, and basically that is do nothing, defend and try to do something with their key players. And it's not working very well. And one of the other things I wanted to talk about was Mason Mount coming back into the side, because I'm all about slagging off players and managers when they're actually doing terrible. But the problem with Mason Mount is you can't get into that sort of habit of slagging off players that aren't actually playing the game just because they're terrible before they get injured. You've got to give them an ability to be able to defend themselves, and the way they defend themselves is by playing the game of football. So when players are injured, you just are generally trying to back off them, because there's a lot of bias there that goes, they're injured and they had really two bad last games, and you just and that gets in your head. And that's one of the key things I'm trying to get across here, is don't let biases get into your head when you're coming along making decisions, or you're saying what you see. And that's what we're doing here. We're saying what we see, and we're explaining it with all of the context that we know. So what we're going to look at right here, though, this is interesting. Can you see this pocket of space that's appeared here? Right, there we go, bosh. Where there's no player. We should have one Brentford player about there. But they've kind of got pulled out, right, and suckered away. So these two have found a little gap. And this is important here, this little gap that happens. Because watch what happens when the ball gets played in. Now the ball's played in, we've got 3 United players, basically, and no Brentford players able to challenge them. So then what happens in football is the panic ensues, especially because it's late on in the game. And when the panic ensues, people start making stupid decisions. And that's what ends up happening here. Let's just move this on a bit. He starts panicking for the ball. There's also another bit here where this guy's reacting, either maybe to cut the pass out or thinking that this guy's going to win it and they're going to go on the counter. But he's clearly leaving this guy here exposed a little bit too quick. He's off on his heels already. And I don't like that. I like to have the possession before you go. Actually, it depends if I'm coaching and I know we're going to win the ball. I'm yelling at you to get further forward. So that's a bit of an oxymoron there. But as it goes here, this guy's dived in, and because he's rationally challenging for the ball because they're panicking about that little pocket of space that's opened up, which they still haven't dealt with. And this is really important. Like, as a coach on the sideline, you should be absolutely spotting that and hoping that hoping your players are listening to you so you can close that gap. And then all of a sudden what ends up happening is this guy's rationally dived in. He's gone to the ground looking for a free kick. They're all looking for free kicks here, which is awful. I'm happy they don't get one and they get a goal. They get rewarded from keeping on playing football instead of the referee blowing his whistle, which is much better. Now, the next guy goes and dives in as well because he's panicking because, well, look, the United players are still outnumbering the Brentford players, and this guy's still gone on a walkabout. This guy's been stood there the whole time, and we still have the 3 over here that are just watching this play develop and happen. And the reason why all this is important is because all said and done, you still end up with 2 United players against 1 Brentford player after this guy's taking this guy out over here on the ground. And those 2 players that were free here, they're not the same 2 that are free over here now, but because of the overload of numbers in the middle of the park and no one came to help, you can see that they end up overloading this one side, and now they can 2v1 and slot the ball into the goal. And it all comes from this little pocket of space here, right? Just where there's no extra Brentford player. So it's if you ever play those little games where you've got a puzzle to make and you've got to slide the little piece, the square pieces over to make the piece of the puzzle, that's exactly what football's like. So when you've got a mistake and there's a puzzle piece missing here and they start sliding over, it slides from this side here, the space slides from here, dunk, 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 space goes to here, dunk, 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 and then it goes to here. And the Brentford player, there was no one here, and then there was 2 in this space, and then that means there's nobody in this space. And that's exactly what's happened. The space has moved from here to there because they're panicked in this one here. And that's what's gone on here. Bosh, as it comes out, and he just slaps it into the corner. Simple simples. Let's get on to the next goal. This goal is important to understand from many sort of team points of view. United do not score a goal here, even though they score a goal. And if you're a good coach, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about before I even say it. So there's different ways of evaluating goals. Do you score the goal or do you score it on yourself? Now that's what ends up happening here for Chelsea. Bruno tries to play a ball and he completely spoons it. I think he's just awful as a footballer. I would never have him on my team. Whacks this ball up in the air, and here's the problem. When it comes down, Caicedo wins the ball, and instead of passing it to his goalkeeper like he should have, like a proper footballer, he plays a square pass to his mate, and his mate's body position is awful, and Caicedo can't understand that or read that, and he doesn't, do anything correctly here whatsoever, and he basically just plays it to a Man United player. That's the difference of you scoring on yourself or the other team scoring on you. You've made the wrong choice because you're a complete clown shoes and you did not see the pass was here. You try to play a cute little thingy, you're doing something idiotic, and they've scored on you because you are terrible. That's you scoring on yourself, other than them. If they won the ball off Caicedo, right down as a tackle, great, okay, we won the ball, and then they've scored, fantastic. That means you as a team, you have scored. They have given you this pass. They've made the mistake. If they make the mistake, depending on how big the mistake is, you class it as, they've scored on themselves. And this is one of those scenarios. The wee man's pace is fantastic. He breaks into the space really, really well. The keeper doesn't do himself any favours by sitting back. Look how far back he is. He could have easily come out and try to close this angle down. At least been there. If he's there, makes it a little bit harder. Look how fast this goes. Osh, he's so far back. He opens up the goal, and the wee man's like, mate, I'm pretty tasty on this scenario, and he slots it away and makes a nice, easy finish. Good job, young man. And that's the face of a human being that knows that he's the reason why they scored the goal. They didn't score it. You made a terrible pass instead of giving it to your goalkeeper like you should have in the first place. This is simple. Tell me what you see, boys and girls. Tell me what you see. Look at how many Chelsea players there are. Look at how many Man United players there are. So if you're a good coach, what you would immediately do is you would draw a line down the middle of the field like that. Bosh, that's a terrible line, Cash. Oh, God, no. We'll get it there. Hold on, let me just do that again. That's just terrible. Let's do it properly, Cash. People are watching. Right, if we draw a line properly down the middle of the field, you can see... Oh, wait, that was even worse. There we go. I finally drew a line. Ignore the bit at the end. I didn't do that. Somebody else did it. Right, so you can see how many Chelsea players there are. 1, 2, we've got 3, we've got 4, 5. This thing cannot keep up with how fast I draw. 6, 7, right? And they're all on one side of the field over here. So that means there's nobody playing left back. Again, like I say, if you hold your shape, you win the game. They can't hold their shape because they do not understand what their formation does, and they have no clue of actually how to play football. So this is what ends up happening on this break. You can see the space that's opening up. Remember one of Cash's rules in the Premier League. When some clown puts his arm up and tells somebody else to go and mark somebody, within the next 5 seconds, someone is about to score. Yeah. That's exactly what happens here. Look, off he's trotting on that back post. You could see him the whole way. Didn't track him. We've got so many Chelsea players here doing absolutely nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players doing nothing. You're not pressuring anybody. You're not marking anybody. What are you doing? Yeah, this is how bad it is in the Premier League with the mid-table teams. And when the quality ball finally arrives, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Chelsea players. Right? Think about this. You've got at least when United were defending, there was at least one player for every Chelsea player in the box. You've got 6 Chelsea players and 2 United players completely unmarked on the back post. How can you have 6 players and 2 players unmarked in the box? 6 players in the box and 2 players still unmarked. That's because not one of these single players have any interest or understanding of how to play football in any way, shape or form. Because you cannot have 6 players and then 2 players unmarked on the back post if they do. It's just, explain it to me. Explain how you can have 6 players in the box and still 2 players unmarked. Those 6 must be going out of their way not to pay attention to the 2 players and being focused on the ball so much. That's terrible. Ultimately, there's an easy tap in from Ratface on the back post. Let's get on to the next goal. It's a funny thing how football works sometimes. That same problem that United had when they had overcommitting players on their left side of defence, when they had 3 or 4 players running forward and all of a sudden there was a pocket of space in behind them, is exactly now what ends up happening to them when they've got an overcommittance. But again, look at the midfield when they don't have, you've got one player but not another one who can cover for that, left-sided player, all those, players that are trying to go down the flanks to create space. There isn't that defensive player to come in and cover for them. No, I did not articulate that point correctly, but I'll do it again. Actually, there's a whole video I need to do about it. That's the problem. I've got too many thoughts running through my head about trying to explain exactly what those midfielders need to be. Ultimately, they play a pass out wide, and it becomes a bit of a foot race. Now, here's the interesting thing, right? Look at these 2 clowns, So we've got the guy that's going to score the goal. Here he is. He's not bad. He's a little young chappy here. And the guy marking him. So you can see the guy marking him. Let's see how close he is at the end. Now, if you're here, if you want to be a player or a defender or any way, shape or form good at the footballs, you're nowhere near the football. So you cannot win it. So the next thing you need to do is mark the player closest to you that can win the football. Right. There's no one else for this guy to mark but him. Let's see how close he is to him near the end. Okay, I'm going to try to back this up for a second because this guy stops running. He's watching, he turns, looks at the football, and he stops running. You can see how big the difference of the gap is here. Let me see if I can get a couple of seconds back and see if I can show you that. Watch this. He stops running. Do you see him stop running? He slows down completely. He just assumes this guy's going to be offside and lets the ball get played. Yeah, absolutely terrible. I wish I could play you more. That's why I need to start my Patreon a little bit better so I can do these analyses a lot more detailed. Because that guy there slows down running. And if I play the whole clip on YouTube, I'll get copyright struck again, which I'm still currently under 2, because the Premier League hates me. I still think the keeper isn't getting enough criticism here because he could have been way, way further out. He could have already been up here on the penalty spot. And he's not. Look at him. He's reacting when the ball is bouncing at the penalty spot. The wee man here beats him with a little quality header. But honestly, the keeper could have been out way, way faster than that. Way faster. There's a little header in, bosh, and there we go. I do have to make a point because I yelled out on Twitter when I heard Goldbridge the clown talking about it. And this is the problem I have with people like him. He just chats crap. He says, oh, look, Anthony played a pass. That makes him world class. No, he's had one good pass. As I said, you make 20 world-class passes and you do that for 3 years, and then we'll call you world-class. You can't jump the shark and start labelling people world-class or fantastic, because all of a sudden everyone's now world-class. Everyone's now fantastic. And you have no credibility. Because when people have a bad game, then what do you say? Well, no, you need consistency. If he does that week in, week out for 3 years, great, you'll be world-class, buddy. You play one pass the entire season from the outside of your foot and you create a goal, it doesn't make you world class. So when people say it, don't ever listen to those human beings again. They're untrustworthy. They'll just say anything. Don't trust them. This is another moment we talk about all the time in coaching, and players do it all the time wrong. So right now, the ball needs to go back to the keeper. You can see Van Dijk, and I'm not sure if he's motioning it, whether or not the ball needs to go back there. But we've got a player gambling here. This pass is not on. This is where you want the ball to go, but you've got another player you can pass to. So don't miss the player out. Play the right pass. The right pass is back to your keeper, and the keeper plays it over to here, and then it goes back over to, oh, look at that, zooming in like a right boomer. And then it goes out wide. Okay? If you miss the pass out and you try to play through the gap, that's when mistakes happen. 9 times out of 10, it's because you've done something that you shouldn't have done, and you just need to go to the other player, keep him in the loop, pass it around, and you're fine. He doesn't, and that's where Fernandes gets in. Makes a mistake, and also not only does he miss a player out, he plays a terrible pass. And the reason, well, there's a couple of reasons. He's using his left foot, he's using his wrong foot, his body shape's wrong, he's actually caught it on his heel and not on his instep or the inside of his foot, and he's played a terrible, terrible pass. Fernandes strikes it first time. Honestly, it's a quality strike. He just gets it on target, has enough power to beat the keeper. It's hard for me to play it because I will get copyright struck. Even for that 0.2 of a second, Dulces, it beats the keeper and goes through. I'd like to play the whole goal, but obviously I can't. But yeah, that's just because he's missed out the goalkeeper and he's trying to be quick and pass it there instead of having it go back around and then across and cycling it out. Not good enough by the would-be young man Liverpool defender. It comes straight after a substitution. There's a bit of a break for about 3 minutes or so, and then a lot of substitutions were made by Liverpool. And that's generally what's caused this goal here. Now, if you've ever coached football before, as much as I have, what ends up happening is you make these mistakes as a coach. You get caught out by this. Sometimes when there's a lull in the game, and you're used to your team being at high tempo or high pressing or doing a certain way, they take a little 5 minute, a couple of minute break. Someone's had there's been a foul, substitution happened. That's when you get caught. And that's exactly what happens here. This guy comes on, Curtis Jones. His job right now is to mark this player, and he doesn't. You can see how he's broken between the lines. Here's the Liverpool normal defensive midfielder. Jones knows what his job is in this situation because he's a decent midfielder, and he knows he needs to be marking this player. But he's just come on, so he's not up to game speed, and he's a little bit slow, lackadaisical, and this guy's completely free. Not only that, this centre-back here, I think it's Kwanzaa, he could step up and do something, but he doesn't. So when this pass comes in here, he gets all the time in the world. Bosh. Do you see how much Curtis Jones has run past him here? Because he's not quite up to the game speed. He's absolutely opened up the space for this guy to turn and have a little shot into the top corner. Keepers, I don't think it make any difference if it's Alisson in goal or not, because it's a quality strike. But that whole pocket has been made because the two midfielders there have just overextended ever so slightly and have been caught by a little pass. And this guy still could have stepped up and pressured the ball, but he doesn't. He's back enough holding the space, and it makes it easy for this guy to make a nice little turn and smash it to the net box, which he does. Next goal. For this goal, United end up getting the ball wide somehow, because if you just watch everything that happens, it's just a bundle of mistakes and little ricochets and the ball just bouncing everywhere. It's not played for. And that's one of the main problems, where if you watch United, they don't play to do anything. So you don't see the ball end up repeating in this dangerous area, repeatedly getting here. Because, well, they don't really know what they're doing. They're hoping they've got a bit of individual skill, and that's how they create their goals. And they get that here with Ratface. So when this cross comes out in, old Ratface Fernandez gets a touch on the ball, kind of miscontrols it, but it goes up over the player, and he just smashes it into the net. Bosh. Not real much Bournemouth can do, because they are quite tight on there. That's just a case of this ball's ended up wide, and they're not quick enough to get out here and deal with it. And what United should have done straight away is gone, okay, they're not going to defend out there on the left. Let's get the ball there then. Let's go and do that. But they don't. So if you don't know how dodgy and corrupt football is, you're about to find out, because this is never a penalty anywhere, ever. Right. And actually, it's interesting. I'm happy I watched the game live, because if I hadn't, because there's another camera angle when it shows the guy doesn't actually, it looks like he's pulling his arm out. He's not. He's pulling his arm in towards his body if you see the other camera angle. And also, this is taking a ricochet off another player that's only about 4 yards away from him. So the ricochet comes in, push, and it hits him. Well, that's not going at goal. There's nothing like that. Is not a handball. That's not a handball. That's a ricochet off another player that's hit you. Your own player, it's ricocheted off and it's hit you, and the ref gives a penalty. Wow, that's bad. I mean, we all know the Premier League is corrupt, but come on, it's getting worse. And the fact that VAR look at it and go, well, yeah, this is the problem as well. Because VAR isn't really human beings, right? Think of it as AI. Well, by the letter of the law, it hit his arm, so it's a handball. But it's not, because it's ball to hand. It's completely the other way. The ball has hit his hand because it's ricocheted off somebody else. It isn't a penalty, but it is because, they're idiots. Yeah, absolutely terrible. Upstep Ratface, puts it in the corner. United get a draw. Okay, so this is what we're going to be looking at straight away. There's not a goal that comes from it, but there is a goal scoring opportunity, and it should have been a goal, but Garnacho doesn't know what he's doing in front of goal. He panics. Yeah, but I'll show you that in a second. Right, look at this guy. He's telling someone to mark, I think this is Ratface. You can see a back three, another three over here, two, and a big gap here. Can you see how messed up this shape is? And no one's really organised, right? So here's the problem. Here's the ball here. Because these guys have been pulled completely and utterly out of shape, and not really, that's the sad part, they're not really doing anything. So what should have been happening? The ball was here, it's gotten played back. He's fine, he is not. He either needs to drop off or cover the space here. He does not need to be in a straight line, because then what happens is someone has to react to the ball, and as they react to the ball, they step forward. Well, when they step forward, what do they leave behind them? Space. What's dangerous in this area of the field? Space. They end up creating their own problems and creating this goal scoring opportunity. Now, there is a nice little run here from Ratface. He does come across here, but you can see this space is here to be exploited. So the point now is, can we move these defenders around and keep the space here? As we're moving this, think of it as a puzzle piece. We're trying to move the puzzle piece around, but keep that space right there. Do they do it, or do we do it? What does that mean? What do they do it themselves because we're moving the ball, or do we have to do it because we have to either do a really good 1-2, a nice little combination play, beat someone 1v1, or do they do it themselves? Now you can see there was the three. There's the guy, and he's run out. So that space now has just become even bigger. Do we see that? And this guy's now getting pulled away from with Ratface right here. So now we've got a problem, because that guy who's said track him. He's not doing anything. Yeah, he is kind of holding the middle of the field, but so's this guy. They're too close together. So these two players literally cancel each other out. Someone needs to step forward onto this guy, and no one really takes responsibility. So now if you look where that space is there, Ratface is now starting to create the space there, because he's been pulled over. He's starting to come over, and now the ball's been played into here. Do we see that? And so the space is now moving from here, because that's the problem. This is where you have to keep your shape, because if there's little gaps in it, that gap can then appear down throughout the shape as the shape tries to move, because it wasn't set properly in the first place. And that's what you're seeing happening right here. There was a little cute little pass in here, and now you can see everyone has collapsed because they weren't in a decent shape, so no one really knows what they're doing. What do you mean by knows what they're doing? Right, they don't know who they're picking up, marking, or responsible for, because everything is collapsing on itself. And now you can see where the space was here. Now it's completely and utterly moved to here because their shape wasn't correct. Do we see that? That is how, if you ever see those puzzle pieces that got all the little squares that are trying to make a picture, that's how you need to think of it. There's one gap and everyone's trying to slide all these little puzzle pieces around trying to make the picture. That is generally how it works with your shape, and your job is to make sure that there isn't a space in the in the little puzzle piece inside your 18-yard box, and that's what's just happened here. So now he's completely through on goal, easy goal scoring opportunity, and this is the moment he needs to pull the trigger. This is the difference between a polished player and an unpolished player. He ends up not understanding that, and it doesn't matter if he scores. Well, it does matter if he scores, but he's got to get it on target, because if he takes another touch, he's going to take himself away from the goal scoring opportunity, and that's exactly what it does. He takes another touch. Do you see? Look, he does that little feint and brings the ball inside. That's the moment he should have been taking the shot, and he didn't do it. And he brings the ball inside, and the opportunity goes. All right, so this is going to be the United goal here from Maguire. But one thing I'm going to just trying to show you here is they win the first ball to Sheffield United, but they're not even close to winning the second ball. And that's what it's really about. So even if you're defending well and you've got people back in your wall and you're doing your stuff, you haven't defended unless you're actually set up to help yourself defend the second ball. Because if you don't, they score from it. Well, great job defending the first ball, putting all your eggs in one basket. But no one is there. No one is anywhere else to win the ball or do anything for the second ball. They're just, yeah. But, all right, let's just move on a little bit. But there's so much empty real estate here and empty space. They have to have one player trying to cover this gap here. You can't have everybody back here and everybody trying to win the header, because it's just if they win the header and it goes up, you're there to receive it and get out and trying to do something. But if no one is here, no one's anywhere close, you can't put pressure on this guy. You can't. He has all the time in the world from this flick on to turn, find a player, pick him out and knock it on, because there's no pressure, because no one's really confident to step up and say, yeah, they're going to deal with the first ball here, I'll deal with the second ball, and then we can go play some football. They don't do it. This is why they're so bad. This is still the same play, just a little bit of extension of it. The free kick was taken, his rat face doing what he does, walking around. Everybody else is still in here. But this is what I'm trying to talk about here. You've got 3 Sheffield United players right there. Okay, and these 3, I think these 2 actually were in the box. I think he was further on up here somewhere. But they're too close. They're not doing anything. Right? He should be marking Harry Maguire, not this guy, because Maguire's behind him. So this guy here should be taking responsibility to mark Maguire. Okay? Because he doesn't know he's there. Well, he might do, but he doesn't. So the person who's in front of you is the one you want to be marking. You don't want to be marking the player behind you, because that's ridiculous. But can you see there's 3 Sheffield United players? He's unmarked, and he's unmarked, and he's unmarked in the box. It's just absolutely terrible. Not only that, you get in this situation in football when you've done something wrong. So they haven't had anyone aware to try to win a second ball or a drop down or any of that. So then what happens is when they have to go out and pressure this ball, they over panic and too many people run up forward and they run to the ball. And now they're out of sync of the play. The harder they're trying, the more they're out of sync of the play, because the first thing they did was wrong. So this ball comes in to little Harry Maguire. Gets a little flick on it, bosh, and into the bottom corner it goes. And there's enough players there, but they all stood holding each other's hands and not doing anything. That defender there didn't even know where Harry Maguire came from. And it was the guy's responsibility behind him to track Maguire and make sure that doesn't happen. They didn't do it. Let's get on to the next guy. To me, this is never a penalty. His arm's behind him, yes. Is he holding on to him? Yeah, kind of, not really. But Maguire just goes down and the ref just gives the penalty. This is not a penalty. This should, yeah. This is complete and utter dive-in, simulation, looking to get the penalty, and he does. If this is a penalty, there's 30 penalties every single game. This guy, he just goes down way too easy. Bump, is he kind of holding onto his arm? Yeah. So what Harry Maguire's doing, he's holding onto the guy's arm as he's falling down. He's got it pinned between his arm and his body. It's an old trick, seen it 100 times. You're just holding the guy, you fall over, go, look, ref, I fell because of his arm. No, you're holding his arm and you're pulling him down. Should never have been a penalty, but it is, and Ratface steps up and scores. Not bad at all penalties is Ratface, smashes it into the net box. There we go, makes it 2-2. Let's get on to the next goal. Watch Cash's rule in the Premier League. If somebody's got their hand up in the Premier League telling another player what to do, 9 times out of 10, in about 5 seconds, someone else is going to score a goal. And he does. Now look at the acres of space he's in. Again, look at how many players are back here. And look at how many of them aren't doing anything. You're not needed to be out there marking him. You're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. And it's just terrible. It's overall all terrible. The reason why this guy's not doing anything, right, okay, isn't because he's not marking him, which he kind of is. It's because there's no supporting cover. There's no one with him. So he can't really step towards the ball, because if he does, he opens the space behind him. He can't really do anything. If he's got another player with him, he's useful there. There's no one with him. So he's in no man's land. Or anyone steps towards, goes towards here, and they're just going to pass it to the other guy. So you aren't doing anything. It's so frustrating watching this. Like, what are you doing fighting here? God. You can't have a massive gap in front of your back four like this when you're as bad as a team as Sheffield United, especially with a quality player like Bruno Fernandes, who can pick the ball up and make passes happen. And this is how shocking it is, right? He's picked the ball up, he's turned, and he's going to take a shot. Still no one's close enough to close him down, because they're not... Look how many people we've got on a line here. Look how many people are there. You can say, oh, United are pushing them back. Are they really? He ends up hitting a cracking shot. And it goes into the top corner. And yes, you do get bonus points for sound effects in the Premier League. This is a little dump pass. I quite like these, actually, where you're just sort of hitting it in behind and hoping someone's making a bit of a run. But you're not hoping that much, because you're kind of seeing someone's already making actually, Ratface isn't making the run. He's making the run as he's seeing him play the ball. So he doesn't really see that Ratface is making the run. He's just hoping someone's going to spin in behind into this space that he's clearly spotted, because their line is up a little bit too high, and they don't really have enough pressure on the ball to deal with something like this. It's a quality little crisscross move here. Crisscross is not the right word, but I can't think of it right now. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. As he's running in behind. So Ratface is going down here. He's looking to get the receive ball back. The receive ball back. Yeah, that makes sense. But I do want to show you this, because when Ratface puts it across, it looks like a sort of, he's just putting it into an area and hoping someone's going to be there to finish it. But that's not true. He actually sees the run. Watch this. So when Ratface receives the ball here, watch. He has a little look. Do you see that? That little look there? That little tiny look creates the goal, because he sees the space, he sees the runner, and he just puts it in there so they can just tap it in. But you think it's United have done a great play to score a goal, and actually, no, this defender here is rubbish. So watch him right here. He's watching the ball, and he's completely ignoring the man running alongside him and the space that the ball's going to go to. His awareness of football is absolutely terrible. All he has to do is keep running his hardest and kick the ball over the goalpost. That's all he's got to do. And he doesn't do it. So as we go forward here, watch this. We'll go 1, 2, right. Do you see how quickly he loses that guy? Just because I think Rasmus Højlund keeps running, and the other guy doesn't keep running. He doesn't take 2 more steps forward. He slows down, thinking that cross is not coming in, because he can't see the big massive gap in the, right inside of him in the 18-yard box. Run into that space and take it away. So when they pass the ball, you're there waiting for it, because you know that's where he's going to go. Because here's a clue: this thing's called the goal. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a big posty things with the, this man over here. Yeah, and that's what he should have been doing, and he's not doing it. So just a couple of yards ago, where he was just in front of Højlund here, because he didn't keep his run. Now look, he's 2 steps off him, and he gets himself a goal. Yeah, not good enough. If you're still here, thank you for listening to the end. Be on the lookout at the end of the season, because I'm going to be covering some of the Euros, and also all the videos I've been putting together. I'm going to start to do those things, of all the goals scored and all the goals conceded by a lot of the teams, so you can watch all my analysis all in one go. I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football. So I'm going to point out a couple of little problems with Man United before I get into the goals. I want to show you this. I caught this, and this happens quite a lot. Got a nice little run in behind here and a decent ball. Now, United's got lots and lots of problems as a football team. I mean, loads. But some of the things they don't have problems with is pace up front and the ability to find them with quality passing. They've got Ratface and they've got Christian Eriksen, who shouldn't be in the side, quite frankly, because he's just not good enough anymore. As I've yelled about this player for years. 4 years ago, yeah, maybe. 5 years ago, maybe, but not now. It's just because his name's Christian Eriksen, people think he's as good like he was at Tottenham. He's not. He's not the same player anymore. But he does still have the ability to find a good pass, like a lot of United players. Now, here's the issue. You see the player running in here, and you see Højlund pointing out some other nonsense, not doing a thing. As soon as this ball's played, This guy should be a striker, right? You can tell strikers because they're selfish and they run into the box expecting the ball always to be given to them. And watch what happens. He's watched the ball travel over him, travel past to him as the ball's come into the box here. Now, okay, this guy's still got a lot to do, but he needs to be on his bike. This guy he's not. As this ball's received here, right, bosh, he's still walking. He still hasn't got on his bike and tried to make any sort of effort whatsoever. So when it comes down to it, he's got no options in the box because his striker is still walking. He went for a bit of a run, couldn't get there in time. How far would he have got? Maybe he would have got to here. Maybe he could have found him with a pass. Maybe he would have only been to here. But at least he would have made the effort getting into the box because he wants to score a goal. That means there's a couple of things. That means he's been making the runs all season and no one's passed to him. So he's just given up making the runs. That happens with a lot of strikers. There was a guy that I was pointing out. Oh, he did this back in the day. What was his name? Oh, Andy Carroll. Andy Carroll became a bad striker because when he changed football clubs, he was making all these runs and no one was passing to him anymore. So he stopped making these runs. He stopped becoming a good striker because he wasn't in those in those areas where he was getting goals or scoring goals, because every time he made the run, no one passed him the ball anymore. So slowly but surely, you stop making the runs. And that may have been what's happened here. Or this might be in his core DNA because he's still young and he hasn't made that run into the box. So that means he's not really an out-and-out goal scorer. And then the ball gets played across and he's nowhere to be seen. Now just imagine if he was about here, he would have been sprinting onto that and he may have nicked himself a goal. But he didn't even move from where he was originally when the pass was played. That shows not just about Hoyland. Oh, stop picking on Hoyland. No, it just shows you the disconnect of what's really going on at United on their front three. Quality pass, quality running behind, and for no reason whatsoever. Absolutely shocking. But listen, you also have to understand when you're talking about how the goal scored, did the other team give you the goal or did you score the goal? That's very important, because if the other team gives you the goal, that means you've pressurised them, you've done all these other things for them to make a mistake and they've helped you give you the goal. Or you're just brilliant and did a couple of things and smashed the ball on the net box. Those kind of goals, when you score goals, is very few and far between. A lot of the times, I'd say probably at least 65-70% of the time, the other team gives you the goal, whether they give you the penalty, they give you the free kick, because you've done things that are correct. In this situation, this goalkeeper here, he kind of does the right thing, but this is so important of what happens next. When this guy's received the ball here, he doesn't really have that many options to pass to. You can see that he sees these two players here, but both of these players, when this keeper received the ball, haven't moved. They're stagnant. That means they don't want the ball. That means they're not ready for the ball. They're not really doing anything. The only one really showing for the ball was him and the keeper. You don't want to pass it to the keeper because this guy is sitting there waiting for that. He can't wait for you to do that. The other issue is, you've got a bit of space on the ball. You could probably take a little bit of a turn. Your mate's off, assuming that, because you can see he's already starting his running behind. He's thinking, oh, right, okay, yeah, we're on here. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. Either make the turn yourself or give it to the only person that really wants the ball, which is to this guy. Because as soon as you give it to him, he's going to ping it out to him and away you go. He chooses not to do any of those options. Takes a little touch. See his touch, takes him away from that, and now puts him back. Now, here's the other issue. As he does take that bad touch and brings this player back, he can go back to the keeper now because this guy's come further in. But what he does is he misses out a player. And I use this phrase all the time, you're missing out a player. You cannot go straight through there with missing out that player there. Because if that mistake between there, you two can deal with it, right? If you put it between there and the mistake happens in this area here, there's no player that can recover from your mistake. Absolutely none. So when he does make this mistake, there is Mini Rat. He's lightning quick. He's not a very good footballer, but tell you what, one thing he's got is mad amount of pace. And he just runs in and he nicks this ball. Bosh, off he goes. Now it's just a foot race. It's just from simple not knowing what to do, where to go, passing out the back. And they should have known, because if they watched United play recently, they basically play with kind of 5 at the back and 5 up front. No real midfield. The 5 up front press like anything, and they do have pace and they can catch you. And there's a bit of talent between 1 or 2 of them. And that's what ends up happening here. Mini Ratface has got a lot to do, though. He's still got to go a long way, and he's still got to have a good finish. One of the things I want to point out, though, is because he's running with the ball. Yes, there's a difference between running with the ball and dribbling with the ball. He basically pokes the ball in front of him and goes after it. That's where his strength really is, because he can't really dribble with the ball. He makes mistakes, and there's that classic meme of him dribbling the ball out of bounds and then blaming the linesman for not giving him a throw in, right? So he just basically pokes the ball and goes after it. Bosh, and he goes after it. And then when this guy comes in, he does exactly the same. pokes the ball and goes after it, and the defenders just cannot catch him. Quality little finish into the corner. I still think the keeper should have done better, but overall, Burnley have played themselves into that mistake. They've made that happen for themselves. It's not really, well, I say it's not really acceptable, but it is Burnley. I'd like to say they know better, but they've been doing it all season. So right now we're having a little bit look at Newcastle, and we're going to have a look at how bad their shape currently is, right? So you've got two, I'm presuming, centre-backs. I'm just going to assume where these players are, who they are, based on their position on the field. Now, the same concurring mistake that's happening in the Premier League is this. And this is Kieran Trippier, who should know better. But we do not care about this player here. He is not important because the ball is here, right? And this comes down to poor coaching. It really is. And I'm telling you this because of all my 20 plus years of coaching experience and seeing this happen over and over again, and how to beat bad teams with bad coaches, right? This player here, his job is to do one thing and one thing only in this back four, and it's to back up this guy here to make sure no one gets behind him, because he is responsible for the players in front of him, not the players behind him. And you're going to go, well, Cares, that doesn't make sense. He's completely free. Yeah, but we do not care, because this guy can't Harry Potter the ball over here. He has to pass it, and as he passes it, he can then change his position and defend this guy here. So his first responsibility is to defend what is in front of him, which is this player here, which he completely and utterly negates. Now, he's not the only one. This been happening a lot in the Premier League, and you see how big this gap is here. This is how it forms. He makes a little run. Quite frankly, this player should have probably run with him, because you can see that gap is appearing. He hasn't. They've got a bit of an overload here because they've all been caught out of position, and again, they're all chasing and hunting the ball instead of not doing the both thing. Watch the ball, watch the player. Watch the ball, watch the player. He, however, is just watching the player, and he's worried about this guy back here. So when this pass comes in, you can see him. Watch his movement. As he's going backwards, and he's not going forwards. Now, also, this guy's trying to, I don't know what, you can see how sort of discombobulated the back four is, where he's panicking, thinking the ball's going to go to him. No idea there's a player behind him, because he hasn't had a look. I keep using one player, if you want to see in the Premier League, that actually can defend properly, and that's John Stones. Because what he does is he'll look at the ball and then look around, or look at the player he's marking. And he does it all of the time. His head is on a pivot, and yes, you can coach it. It's really, really simple. You can do that. And when you get in this mindset of like a deer in a headlight, and all they're doing is focusing on the headlights to get run over, it's the same thing here. They're focusing on the ball so they can actually score a goal. It's not good enough at this level. It's absolutely pathetic. And the fact that people are still not calling this out is shocking. Now look at him. He's in complete no man's land. This is the other reason why you pick a poison. And the poison is to do the right thing, is to defend this guy's player behind him, which is here. That's your poison. That's what you need to pick. You do not care about him because he's the furthest point away from the ball. And if that ball's played, he can react, as I said, turn, and then defend it. Right now, he needs to get touch tight to the player that's right in the middle of the goal, and he doesn't. He backs up. When this ball comes in, look how far away he is. Not only is he backed up, he's played him onside. He hasn't noticed everyone's kind of taken a step forward, and if he had done anything other than what he did, gone to this guy or stepped forward, this wouldn't have been a goal because he would have been offside. And for a player of his quality, look, other players that might not be, but come on, Trippier, you're better than this. You know it. And you know how you got caught out like this. I think it's Trippier, by the way. I know he plays right back for Newcastle. He might not even be playing in this game, knowing me. Yes, I do put that much effort into my videos. Because I really don't care who the players are. I concentrate on what you can see. Right, so when he gets this little ball right in the middle of the box, takes a little touch, and now he's just finishing it. Of course, he thinks he's offside because he stepped forward with his team, but somebody didn't. See, here's the other thing, right? Who's that other right back? If that was Trent Alexander-Arnold, right, he would be getting slated for days if that was him. So it is very important. That's why I don't try to focus on the players' names, because everyone makes similar mistakes. Everyone kind of does the same things wrong. But it does depend on your reputation, whether or not how hard people, go in on you and point it out. And this just wasn't good enough. Gets a nice little slot in. Dosh, quality little finish. 1-0 to United. Okay, so this is a little bit different because it's a set piece. So you really can't afford to have somebody this wide open when you've got a player right here. This is shocking. The amount of players that have been suckered in here to this bundle, this melee of whatever this is here. I'm never a fan of this as well because you're not doing anything. If you're defending they can't beat the first defender. Well, that's fine. But the first defender, you've got loads of them back here that can actually be doing the same job as you, so you're kind of not really doing anything. There's a huge bundle. By the way, this is the other part about it. I haven't really sort of looked in depth because of the camera angles and what they give you. Guarantee you someone's touching that keeper and pushing the keeper around. Like in I can't remember the game now, there's so many, when they touch the keeper and they said, oh, it's not a goal because you touched the keeper, and they didn't actually really touch the keeper. Yeah. See, this is the problem. You can call this not a goal straight away, but this young kiddie here gets a great strike and deserves this goal. But also, I'm going to talk about the D, because I would have had a player near the D, which would have been about here. That's too deep. And yes, those extra yards does matter. So when this ball breaks, he could have got there, but he's so far close to the front post, he's completely in no man's land for this back post. That's why you always split the difference and you sit right about there. So you can go there or there when the ball's played. Do you see him having to change his body shape? He's having to put all of his weight on his foot to counteract and go back the other way because he's actually 3 yards out of shape. That's the difference. Well, in my shape, where I would have had him, would have been right there. So as that ball broke, he would have seen that, read that, and got there. He's too deep, and the whole team is too deep. You can throw a little 10 by 10 blanket over all of them. Everyone has got into this massive mess here for some reason. It's not good defending. You just don't get, you have to have someone smart enough not to be involved in this melee when you've got a player completely and utterly free. As the ball's breaking, you can see he's sprinting to get there, but those 3 yards make all the difference, and he's never getting there. Never getting there. Young chap smashes the ball into the net box, goes straight through 3 players. Bit lucky, but it's still a good hit. Well done. Let's get on to the next goal. Before this pass is made here, you can see that how many Newcastle players are not doing anything. They've just been sucking into the ball again, and they left a massive gap in front of their 2 centre-backs. Now, when this ball's passed, you've got to ask the question, should one of these centre-backs be intercepting this ball right here? Yes, they probably should. But, again, I'm not. I know Newcastle have been ravaged this year for injuries. I know they haven't had their starting centre-backs for quite a while. I'm not sure who's playing here, which one, how they're doing it. But one needs to be pressuring that as fast and as hard as possible. So this can't happen because this is just an easy goal. For one, he should never have this space. And if he does have the space, it's okay. But you make sure when he's receiving that ball that there's a challenge coming in on him and one of you's going, forward on him, making him do something. Or he just receives the ball. And look how much gap there is there. Receives the ball, turns, he can do what he wants now. Now the defender's at his mercy instead of him being at the defender's mercy. So all he does, move forward, squares him up, and now he's looking to get it on his foot and get a shot on target. That's all he needs to do. This guy's too far away again. Can you see the gap? See how much space is there? He needs to be tighter. He also should know if there's anyone behind him, because there's not, where everybody else is, so he knows he can get a little bit tighter. I'm not talking like normal Premier League, 2 people stood next to each other holding hands because they don't know how to defend. I mean about there. And yeah, those 2 yards make all the difference. He's not close enough whatsoever. And this is the reason why. When Rasmus Højlund takes this touch here and knocks it past here, if this guy's close to where I told him, where he should be, where he's proper defending, as he takes that touch, he can step in and take that ball away from him because his touch is made it into play for this other defender. The defender's nowhere near, nowhere close enough to make a challenge. So what you're doing is you're using the first defender to bait Højlund to make a decision. Right, which way are you going, left or right? Okay, you've poked it right. That's where my mate is. And he's going to come now and he's going to tackle you, because what should happen in basic football, which these guys don't understand, as soon as he's gone to touch that ball there, bump, you're back away again, and you're coming away to cover for your mate who's now pressuring the ball, because your whole purpose was to push him this way into your other centre-back in the first place. That means they're not playing as a partnership, they're not playing together, they're not reading each other and going, right, boom, I'm going to push it this way. And the other part about that is, this guy's not quick enough to get there when he's pushed the ball away. That's why he's done it. It's just not. Højlund has another touch and pushes it even further away from him, and that's another point where he can step in and win the ball, but again, he's too far away. So that gives Højlund the opportunity to take his strike and put it into the net box. There was 1-2 chances, if that Newcastle defender was closer, for him to nick the ball, and he didn't see it, read it, or understand it. He just backed off into the space to, I don't know, create a passing lane for hoping when his goalkeeper had the ball or something stupid. No defensive skill there whatsoever. Right here in this goal, we're going to talk about actually passing the ball around the back, and the purpose of it is to create space forward, right? So that's what you really want to try to do. You're trying to bring the other team towards you, because obviously that's where the ball is, so you've got space in behind, right? And Brighton here are absolutely awful. Let's just go move the clip on so I can actually show you the line that I'm talking. Here we go. This is what I really want to talk about before the goal goes in. Now, to be fair, when I first saw this goal, I thought that one of the other strikers had knocked it on and he'd gone and scored. It hadn't. Pretty much, it just bounced all the way through. Did come off the hand of the Brighton defender a little bit, but yeah, no harm, no foul, because obviously the ball's going through, so the guy's not offside. But what I'm talking about here is about team shape and structure. You cannot have a high line like this with no pressure on the ball. Okay, because all this guy's going to do is put the ball into the space and have somebody run on and smash it into the net box, which is exactly what they do. This is just simple football, and the fact that the coach is allowing, the referee should be tapping them out, saying, "Look, Brighton, you're idiots. Stop doing this. This is terrible football." The fact that they're doing this, I don't care if it's the last game of the season. I don't care that you're supposed to, but you're supposed to do all the right things. There is no pressure on the ball here whatsoever, so you cannot play this high line. You're just going to be found out. And the purpose of passing the ball around the back is to create this opportunity, right? Man United don't even need to create this opportunity because Brighton have given it to them. They've given them the space in behind. This ball is simple, passed it over the top. It doesn't have to be a quality ball when you've got this much space to play the ball into. Normally, they'd be dropping off and taking all the space away, but they're just not. And there's no pressure on the ball. Overall, it's awful. And the ball goes between them easily, bounces on. Doesn't really mean a good first touch. To be fair, doesn't really need one because there's so much space from Brighton playing up so high. Guys claiming for offside, just play football. Claim for offside after the goal's gone in or anything else has happened, but during the game is being played and you're claiming for offside. I cannot stand that. That's why you're bad at football. Ball's gone in and now you're asking your mum and dad, the referee and the linesman, to help you out from being bad at football. Do your job and then you don't have to ask them. Okay, we're going to talk about how bad Brighton's midfield is right here and how easy this is for United to carve them apart. Can you see this guy? He needs to be here, right? And the fact he hasn't identified that because of where the positioning of the ball is on the field. You cannot be in front of that line because that means he is not in the play. What he's doing is cheating in football, right? What we mean by cheating is he thinks he knows what's going on, so he's cheating and not playing his position because he thinks he's going to nick the ball. He thinks the pass is going to go here. So he's anticipating it. You can look at the body shape of this guy. You can see that he thinks he's smart. And he goes, "Oh, look, I'm going to do this and nick the ball," which is terrible. So what happens here? Look, watch. As it goes here, it looks like, because he shouldn't be this far up. He should be back here, bump, doing his job properly. But because of this insistence of playing high pressure or trying to understand about passing out the back, and I'm telling you now, the coaches don't know it. They don't understand it. And they don't understand the reasons for doing it and the reasons what ends up happening to your midfield if it all goes incorrectly, which is happening here. What happens when it goes incorrectly is you get players that aren't playing doing their actual basics properly. They're trying to do step 5 and they're missing out step 2. Well, you can only do step 5 if you're doing step 2, 3 and 4 correctly. So say step 2, he would actually need to be here. 3 would be anticipating it, 4 would be closing it down, and 5 would be winning the ball there. What he's trying to do is forget about being position 2, forget about position 3, just trying to do position 5 at the end and win the ball. Right, that's what's really happening in this scenario. And you can see it right here from this guy's body movement when I move it forward, that he thinks he's been too clever. Watch what he does. And he starts going this way. Where are you running to, mate? Your goal's over here. You're supposed to be defending. This guy's pointing because the space he's come from now, everyone's pressured forward and left this massive gap here for this guy. All he's got to do is just poke the ball into it and run onto it. Because he's running here to what? To the right back? Going here? Like, it's shocking. And I know why they're doing it, because they're just not coached properly. They're trying to win step 5 without doing step 2, 3 and 4. Obviously, bump, and he just goes through. And off he goes. Puts the ball into the space. Now have a little look. Remember, this guy was level or just a little bit ahead of the ball. Now look how far out of the play he is. Completely and utterly gone. Now, this is kind of, I want to try to blame the defender here, but you really can't because the midfield has completely left their defence hanging. So this guy here needs to come across a little bit. He doesn't do a good job, this guy, though. He doesn't. He needs to tackle the ball. He needs to step towards the ball to win it, and he doesn't. He just sort of stands there and lets Rasmus Højlund beat him. Now, he might be looking for the pass in there. That's okay. But as we move this forward, you'll see that trick changes, right? So as we move this forward just a little bit. Okay, now he knows that the pass isn't on because he can still recover for the pass. Now he needs to be getting close and tight to the ball so he can actually try to make a challenge before this guy takes a shot. Doesn't do it again, move it forward a little bit. Still not trying to make a challenge. Still standing there. Still not doing anything. Like, oh, but I'm holding him up. You're not trying to hold him up. You're on the 18-yard box. You're trying to take the football off him. Not interested. And as we move it on just a little bit more, still hasn't tried to make a challenge. And before he even knows it, what's ended up happening is the ball's into the net box. Yeah, shocking. Absolutely shocking defending that he doesn't even try to put in a challenge. Terrible that the midfield's all over the place. But other than that, I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.